All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the studio for another episode of the Screaming Idiot Show with your favorites, Tyler, Kyler, and Preston. And we have very special guests in the studio. We have the other half of Sourblood. We interviewed the first half in season 3, I believe that was. We had to bring the rest of the band in. These guys are too fucking interesting. So I want to welcome in Jay and Steve from Sourblood. How are you guys doing?
Happy to be here. Feeling good.
Hell yeah, man. Did you guys just leave band practice to come here? Is that what I heard?
Literally, our practice space is 2 miles away from here.
Hell yeah. So it was just a 2-for-1.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet.
You guys practice at Brad's?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to stop by sometime.
Yeah. We actually both live in Grove City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Okay.
I forgot Brad said
Gotcha.
you moved to Grove City. That's right.
Yeah, we got a little insight from Brad and Bloomy on you guys, but I know, like, Jay, you're a school teacher?
Yep.
Hell yeah, man.
I teach 5th grade math.
5th grade math. That sounds terrible. I mean, like, for me, like...
Have you ever
I don't have
wanted
fond
to know if you're
memories
actually
of-
smarter than a 5th grader?
I would have loved to have a metalhead as my math teacher, though.
Yeah, that would have been cool as fuck. Do your kids know that do your kids in your classes know, like, yo, I'm play guitar in a metal band, like, I'm metal as fuck?
Some do. It's not something that I advertise a lot.
Sure.
You know, I don't make it a part of my
It's not your whole
lessons
personality
or anything like that.
It's not your identity at school.
Gotcha.
No. But let's see. This year was the first year that I had some students actually come to a show. I had students that came to what was that? The St. Patty's Day, the Stand Your Ground.
Oh yeah,
release
here in
there.
town.
Oh yeah.
I was at that show. Yeah.
But actually, prior to
not.
that, when we played the Scarecrow Festival,
Yeah.
I remember seeing pictures
a
of kids
lot
out at
of
the Scarecrow
people,
Festival.
and it
with
was
you
just
guys
by
playing.
chance.
Okay.
Just because we happened to play out in public, and people were there by chance. Yeah, there was a lot of kids that from school that watched me, and then I came to school the next week, and they're coming up to me and, oh, I saw you on stage and all this stuff.
That's
And
It's like your alter ego. They're finding out
yeah,
about
there
your
was
alter
a
ego.
few kids wore Sourblood shirts to school this year.
That's metal as fuck.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, Sourblood's for the kids. We
That's
know
all-
that.
Yeah,
For the
that's
kids.
what
Yep.
Brad and Bloomy said that on their show. Like, hey, Sourblood's for the kids, man. So, how was practice? First off,
It
you
was
guys have
good.
Good jam sesh. You guys
Yeah.
gave us a little sneak peek of some new Sourblood music when you came out. So,
Tasty jams.
Very excited about that. Practice has been good. I know this is going to air after
yeah, I was
all
gonna
that
say when
stuff.
as we're recording this, I'm trying to get in this habit of telling our listeners when we're recording so they understand the time gap here. It is July 19th. So when are you guys planning on dropping this new music?
July 31st
Okay.
is the date that Bloomy was thinking, and it seems as good a date as any. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
So
Sounds like it's ready to me.
I was gonna say, from what
Surprise?
I heard, it sounds ready. You
Yeah.
guys might not think so because you're the ones that created it, but
No, it's ready. That's why what was it, yesterday? I believe I'm like, when are we going to release this? Like, we've been sitting on this for a minute.
Yeah.
So-
It's always interesting to try to like figure out, because you get something that's a finished product like this lyric video that we're putting out with this single, and it's like, it's ready now. Why isn't it already up? And it's just like, maybe just got a little bit of time, just kind of like delay it a little bit, just so when it does land, it can have a little bit of a better impact. Trying to figure out the timing of that stuff is always a little tricky.
Yeah.
And there's never like a perfect answer either. So
that is an interesting topic, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But I always
No,
think
we're going.
about what's that.
We're going down.
I do want to.
Well,
I do want to hear a little bit more about Steve and let him introduce himself. But I am always curious. You know, how often do these bands, and I'm sure it's all the time, have new music that they're sitting on and they're waiting on the perfect moment to release it, and they're like, man, this is fucking gold. Why are we sitting on this? And when is the quote unquote right time? And I think that ties in. If you guys have ever listened to our show before, we've talked about the momentum curve, right, and staying relevant. And I think it all kind of ties together, and that's a rabbit hole that we can dive in. But I do want to hear, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. And you play bass for the band, right?
I do.
Okay.
So before he starts, let me just say,
Here we go.
let me just say this real quick.
I'm going to let you finish.
So when I found out
Tanya.
that Brad and Bloomy were coming on the podcast,
Yep.
I started going back and I started listening to
Oh, I'm about to
episodes.
get you guys' asses too.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
I started going back and listening to episodes because I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this. I haven't really checked it out yet, so I want to, you know how when you go down a rabbit hole one night, I'm just sitting there like, all right. So I just like rapid fired multiple
Also, that was you.
episodes.
That little, the peak in the
He
views.
literally texted us
I said,
yesterday.
someone is going start to finish through the whole catalog of episodes, one after another. It was you.
That was me.
Ooh.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
so one episode in particular,
Oh, boy.
the topic was name some bands who you feel like are doing things well in the local scene.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And there was, I can't remember the name of the first band, but the second band was Sourblood.
Yeah.
And so I'm listening to it, and number one, it's interesting to
It was a great episode. I listened to that one as well.
Thank you.
It's interesting to listen to other people talk about your band when you're not present. You know, because so often when you play shows and you're, crossing paths in that sort of setting and you're playing a show and, people tend to come up and give you feedback on how you played. And most of the time it's great show and all that.
Yep.
Well,
The drunk dude, man, it was great, man.
You're not going to remember any of this tomorrow.
and sometimes it's hard to decipher between people who are genuine and feel that way genuinely and people that feel like it's just like the right thing to do or the right thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to hurt
without-
anybody's feelings.
without actually believing it. So for me personally, I base that on how I feel about the show. So it's like if I get off stage and I felt like we played a killer show, like that, I'm just like real high off those vibes,
Yep.
and people are coming up telling me great show, I just tend to believe everyone because I'm feeling great about it. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if I get off stage and it's just one of those shows where it's like, man, you just feel sort of disappointed or feel like it could have gone better.
Sure.
Then when people say good show, I'm like, really?
Lying ass
Lying
motherfucker.
ass motherfucker.
Especially musicians or other bands.
That are hypercritical
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it's interesting to hear other people talk about your band when you're not present, when you're not around. And by the way, all the stuff was that was said. It was, it was all positive. It was all good things. But one thing in particular stood out to me, and it was we were talking about the bass player, and it was, what was it?
Someone said
I think they have trouble
keeping a bass
keeping
player.
a bass player.
Yeah.
You realize I've been in the band for coming up on 4 years now?
This guy.
Damn!
You
Man,
piece of
I've
fucking
been
shit.
following you guys for like so long. I feel like I see a different bass player
That
every
is-
time.
He listened to that and said, that
December
mother-
2019 is when I joined Sourblood. I missed one show.
Oh, shit.
Missed one show.
That might have been
and all
one of
a
the ones
sudden-
I've seen.
It was.
Because
It was-
the only members I really knew were Brad and I kind of know of Jay.
No, that's fair. And let's be honest, I completely agree with your guys' sentiment that bass players are like condoms.
Yeah.
So I understand the feeling that Jay has about playing shows. Like, I never had that feeling because if I fuck up, nobody heard me anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how he feels. The same way, yeah.
But so I'm always having a great time.
Did you feel me drop out?
If I gotta like drop out or if my hand's cramping up, I just let it
ring
that
out.
top
open note, just let it
string.
ring out.
Yeah,
and just like,
baby.
oh.
Let's go.
Yeah, just thickness underneath everything just makes it sound heavier.
I'm so glad you called him out on that shit.
But yeah, I've been.
because I wouldn't
Well,
know.
I
I
mean-
mean,
I don't know. I felt like
It was,
I watched some people cycle through, and I was like, man,
there
I don't know
have so
if,
Sourblood as a band has been around since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up on 20 years. The only
Crazy.
original member is Justin.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably right. You have seen a lot of different iterations.
yeah, because I know.
and in all fairness, how many shows have you played with Sourblood since Steve's been in the band? You know, since 2019.
3 roughly, probably.
Yeah,
Maybe
a couple
3.
bashes.
Muddy
Yeah.
Creek, Bash.
But I
and
know
Bash,
I got a
maybe.
buddy, Austin Adams, I think played with you guys way back when, right?
That was
I think.
before my time.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
he played bass.
Yeah, there's definitely been some lineup changes, but yeah, I've been in the band since 2019.
Bad
bitch.
dog.
The show that I missed
I'm
was
canceled.
the.
It's all right.
No, you're fine.
We got canceled after the
we-
season.
we
4
gotta
premiere.
change
We
the
Sorry,
sound
circus.
way
guys.
worse on this
Well,
show.
one
We've
of the
already been
things
canceled.
That has kind of been like a running joke that I've been bringing up lately is whenever I go to pick up tickets for, like, if we're doing a show at King of Clubs or wherever I'm out or anything like that, nobody knows who the fuck I am. And it's like, I'm Steve with Sourblood, and I've known a few of you for quite a long time because I've been playing in music in the Columbus scene for a while
Okay.
with other bands. And a bunch of these people I've known for over a decade, and like, who are you with? And I'm like, I'm the
fuck are you
bass
again?
player, man. It's
That's
fine.
You know how many-
He just doesn't even exist.
You know how many times people have like promoters and shit we've worked with called me Sean because they just assume that the front man was the person they talked to handling all the business, and you know
No,
they're
actually, I
like
play
calling me
bass.
Sean. I'm like, yeah, but like that's not my name.
The guy's playing bass is so much fun. You don't even know. I don't even have to hit all the same notes as him. I can just play like one or two, and I'm fine, and
It's
just
so
have a
funny.
good time.
It's so funny. I don't know if you listened to the episode we released earlier this week where it was just me and Tyler talking about the Counterparts, Moths, Boundaries show we went to at King of Clubs and how Counterparts and Moths were both missing their bassists. And it's like, you fucking notice that shit. We do as musicians notice that.
When it's not
Because
there.
It feels
Yeah.
different. It's
You know when that
you still
condom's not
hear
there,
some
bro.
bass, but it doesn't feel the same.
But did they
the
have it
one part of
programmed?
that analogy that I
Yeah,
disagree
I
with,
believe they did.
because it's better when a bass player's there.
Yeah, so it's almost like the bass player is like the lack of a condom.
Right.
Like when the bass player is not there, you're like, oh, I gotta put this on.
I think I compared it to like having the bass player there is like the Trojan skin condom, and then
not
the bass
there is
not
like
being
the one you
there
get at
is
the truck
like
stop.
yeah, the shit at the truck stop.
Put a quarter in, you know, you're getting a lot lizard in the parking lot. Yeah.
Like they both work, but they don't feel the same.
well, I don't know the
Jason-
one works so good.
Jay's over there
Yeah,
like,
one
man,
job
I love me
either
some
way.
lot lizards.
Bro, it's so funny. Oh God, we're
I love
already off
doing
the
this.
rails. We're already off the rails. But
It's fine. Let's go, buddy.
it's fantastic. So I don't want to, again, dude, I'm the king of fucking rabbit holes.
Me
You
too.
talked about you've played the King of Clubs. We talked about that venue from a fan perspective, and these guys need to fucking play it.
Yeah, you absolutely do.
How do you feel about that venue playing it?
Playing it, there isn't really many other venues that I can think of that, for me personally, have treated me better as an artist.
That's
I've heard
awesome
that so
to hear,
many
dude.
times.
And what's like, even though we're just another Columbus band, it is super just awesome just walking in that place and being treated like a national.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And that's like, it's hard to replicate because you go to other places, and whether they're local or out of
I was
town.
saying, you guys have played Incarceration before. Like, y'all played some big shows, so.
Well, yeah. And thank you for noticing.
Well, in all respect.
He
I was there.
In all respect, Brad and Justin
The
talked
condom
about
was
that.
there.
I was there.
We had protection that day.
But yeah, and we've been very fortunate to get on some of the shows that we have been, and Some of that, we could attribute to hard work, but a lot of that is also luck and just kind of us being prepared in the moment to kind of take advantage of that opportunity that presented itself. But I mean, there's a lot of hardworking bands that are phenomenal in this town that don't get those kind of breaks, and I couldn't tell you why when they absolutely deserve them.
Sure.
But yeah, King of Clubs, if you're able to get on a show there, like the staff is amazing. They treat you like royalty. It's in the name. It's part of their slogan, and they absolutely live up to that.
And I've heard that from so many other people. My buddy Kagan King in Breathing Theory and Artifacts, he had posted something a while back, and we had talked about it together. And he's like, "Dude, I felt like I was the biggest thing in town when we were there playing. Like the way they treated us was way different than anywhere else."
Yeah.
They have plenty of stage hands that help you get your gear on.
Okay.
They have every member in the band gets 2 free drinks.
Right.
Damn, nice.
So I mean,
They
it's
were
just
what,
like a little
They were what,
token?
like fucking $8 a piece?
6.
no,
Yeah.
well, but they do good deals.
But
I mean,
big beers. I mean, they were giving you big beers. You weren't getting fucking
Okay.
12-ounce
Yeah,
cans.
that's
You were
right.
getting
no,
big
that-
ones.
they call out specials all the time. Like they'll do like what 2 for $5
Yes.
shots
Some-
of Fireball and
Yes.
All I know is
Yeah.
there was one show, X Factor 1 was playing. Q calls out a special during their set, and he's like, "Until the end of the set, the drinks are such and such price. Go get them."
That's cool.
And it's a fucking blur, and I just see Jay is like, just like that cartoon. It's just
Yeah.
like a cloud shaped like Jay where he used to be. He's just like,
That's awesome.
Dude, it was, and from a fan perspective, arguably the best venue I've been at, and Tyler not argued with me, but disagreed with me a little bit that I still consider that a small venue. It's not, it's not a bar. It's an actual music venue meant for music. But when you think about the Newport, you think about any of those places down in Newport, Kentucky, the Madison. That was by far my favorite venue that I've been to, because I don't care for like big festivals nearly as much as I do for those smaller venues. The energy that you get in a building like that is fucking bonkers, dude.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's so much better than a festival because everybody's dicking around on their phones or they're talking. When
We're
you're in
doing
there,
this, recording
the whole
fucking
time. When you're in there, dude, the mosh pit's as big as the fucking venue, and
yeah.
motherfuckers are going nuts. And I'm like, this is the type of energy I want when I go to a metal show.
Oh, for sure. And then also, like, if you in there on a packed night and seeing that the balcony is also full,
Yes.
that just adds something else, right? And yeah, it's as a fan perspective as well, because I've gone to plenty of shows up there, whether it's local or national acts. Like, it's awesome to have a dedicated place again. Like, I
Yeah.
could just pick a night and not even know who's going to be playing the venue and just go because something's happening at the King of Clubs.
It's going to be a cool atmosphere.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
People are going to be awesome. The food's going to be good. The drinks are going to be good. And I'm going to get a good show. And it's been, I don't even know, like probably 15, 20 years since I've felt like that anywhere else in
People-
Columbus.
Yeah, people have told me that it feels like it's kind of replaced Alrosa.
Alrosa. Yeah.
yeah,
I was
but
about
it's
to ask
better in
that.
every aspect.
No,
It's so-
I was
it's very
I never
green.
went to Alrosa.
I didn't
so
either.
don't
It's
know.
very clean. It's very upscale. You're not waiting in line at the bathrooms. You're not waiting in
Right.
line to get drinks. The patio outside's nice. There could be hundreds of people in there, and there was at the show we were at, but it didn't feel cramped at all. You weren't shoulder to shoulder. There's so much room. The stage is nice and high. You can see everything that's going on. The sound quality's great. The bouncer, like everybody was so nice and polite. It was just a cool ass place, man. I'm like, fuck, this is the spot. We're going to see Polaris and Currents there in October.
We've
and
been
I'm
lazy, Tyler.
juiced to go back.
We have been very lazy.
Yes, we
That
have.
lineup you just named is a great example of something just kind of like an underlying thing that the King of Clubs is doing correctly. Just as coming from the band I was in back in the day, we used to tour all the time, like all over the place. And
Mention that band really quick.
This Fire's Embrace.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I was a founding member.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
had
in that
heard of
band, too.
band. Okay.
I haven't heard of it.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
He was just a condom in that band, so it really doesn't matter. So.
Or actually, not just a condom. We played a little bit higher than we do now, so I was a little bit more noticeable.
Okay.
But there's some venues, like, it didn't matter if they had the money to book us or not. If we played there once and it was shitty, like, we were never going to go back there again.
Yeah.
And like King of Clubs is getting these big bands to come, these big shows to come through. And the only thing I can attribute that to, other than just being like top-notch quality as far as like the production value and the experiences, is the way that they treat the bands, because word
I was gonna say
spreads.
reputation. It's
Word spreads so quick. Like, all it takes is one band to be like, these guys were assholes. They treated us like shit the whole time.
And bad word
then nobody's
passes
coming to
even
your
quicker.
club.
Yeah.
But these guys are like, King of Clubs is constantly getting these bigger and bigger shows. So like, they're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, it was a cool experience, and I hope that these guys can get to play it sometime in the future, because I know you guys have played there. Another band we talk about a lot, Waste of Light, just played there here recently. So it's cool that they support the national scene, the local scene, and it's all interchangeable. They're constantly having shows. Like you said, you probably go to that place any fucking night of the week and know that you're going to get a good show.
Just throw a dart on the calendar and go there on that night.
I got a free night.
Awesome.
You're good.
And for us, even though it was an hour and 15-minute drive up there, it was an easy hour and 15 minutes. It's right off 71. It's not like it's hard to get to. It's not. It doesn't seem like it's in a bad neighborhood by any stretch of the imagination. So, and the people, the fans that were there were super cool. You didn't have a bunch of fucking dumb people that you get at some of those smaller shows.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a good quality crowd and a great show. So I'm glad to hear that they treat the bands right.
Well, yeah, my mom actually came out to our last show there when we were opening up for Bleeding Through, and she's 71.
You guys opened for
Fuck
Bleeding Through?
yes.
Back in March? Was that March?
It was the first weekend of March of this year.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah,
Those dudes
so-
are ripped.
Brutal show. My 71-year-old mom
That's awesome.
is right front and center, and I'm
That's
like,
fucking awesome.
Mom.
That's metal as
Like you
fuck.
said,
But dude,
That is metal as
that
fuck.
is metal as
So
fuck.
yeah,
here's
but
how
the
we were-
pit goes off.
Dude, the pit goes bonkers there.
Yeah, but like, whoever was right around my mom,
They
like,
took care of her.
literally
They took care
just
of her?
formed a wall
That's
around
awesome.
her to keep her from getting knocked over, and that
That's
just
awesome.
goes
That's
to speak highly of the
It's a
crowd
lot
that
better
comes
than
out.
the dude on crutches
Yeah, I was
when we
gonna
were there.
Yeah.
Jay, what were you about to say?
I was gonna
Fighting
say
for his
that.
life.
So with that
What do you
show,
think? Bring crutches to a show? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say with that show. See, Bleeding Through wasn't even on tour at that time.
Okay.
That weekend was the weekend of the Arnold Classic,
Okay.
and their vocalist also has he's big into like fitness, weightlifting.
I think he owns a gym, right?
He owns like a gym. He has some kind of business. So he was already in Columbus for the
For
convention.
the convention.
And so they flew, the rest of the band just flew in. And I'm trying to remember.
That's pretty
how did they do
fucking cool.
equipment?
So it was a spur of the moment thing for them.
Yeah, it was just like they flew in, they did the show with us, and they flew back, and he went back to the convention.
Well, and that's a cool topic that I would like to discuss later on in this show if we end up having time. But we've talked about, there's a couple other things I want to jump into beforehand just to get your guys' backgrounds, and hopefully I'm not stepping
No,
on
that's
anybody
exactly where I
else's
was
toes.
going to go. Was
Okay.
I want to hear some influences.
But
and
we've
shit
talked
like that.
about, and Brad did a really good job of explaining how and why, like, as a musician nowadays, unless you're all the way up here, you ain't making real money. Like, you really and we'll talk about
Steve's
it
deep
later.
breath right there says
yeah.
it all.
And I could be wrong, but
Fuck
it
it.
feels
We're
that
already
way.
on it. Go in.
Okay.
Go in on it.
Okay.
Ray, we started. Might as well. And so there's some.
Like, you have to have something primary and then
Supplementing
your
your
band
income.
or band and then something supplementing it on the
Yeah,
side.
and I think it's just like everything else. There's different levels to everything. I've, in my musical career, I've gotten to the point where I was able to tour pretty consistently. I think we would have been considered in This Fire's Embrace like more of a regional act.
Okay.
But we were making some stretches. We did some shows out in like Oregon and across like the Plains area, and we went all the way out to like North Carolina and some other places. So we made some stretches out there, but at the level that we were at, we were definitely reaching outside, I think, of where, our sphere of influence was, if that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Which we did have some help a little bit because radio was a little bit bigger back then. Yeah. Which it still is huge if you can get on radio. But we had like a specific spot in Wilmington, North Carolina. There was like a Radio U type radio station, kind of local and small, but they were like servicing the area. And they had us on heavy rotation. So we were like, yeah, we're going to go do a show there.
That's smart.
And it was packed. But it's definitely those kind of early stages of touring as like a not really well-known band are definitely going to kind of show you who you are a little bit as a touring musician or as someone who wants to make music a career. And of course, like there's the levels above that, which I had known nothing about, where you're actually like, okay, you got some support, there's some production value, there's some financial backing.
Exactly.
Let's hop on our private jet.
Yeah. But even that
Go
is
tour
like,
the nation.
as just completely separate from music, as someone who's flown for a part of my work, you get coached a lot and it's cramped and it's not like first class or anything
or even business class
class. Like you are crammed in there, and I'm sure even with that there's levels that even I don't know about. But yeah, like touring is hard, and I'm sure it's even hard for reasons that I can't think of for the bands that are successful. So it's
Jay,
just
you have
a
anything
lot.
to add to that piece?
Yeah, I feel like it was a real eye opener for me. I'm trying to remember back to who it was.
And to clarify for the listeners, I don't know that we mentioned, but Jay is the lead guitarist for Sourblood. So sorry about that if so.
Yep, 6, 7, possibly 8 strings. Who knows?
Oh Jesus, he's going. He's going gent on us.
Bunch of triples in Sourblood's future.
So there was a member of a band.
I got a hot
pretty
take
big.
for us later.
I can't think of who it was, but I read something to where about their like annual income, and it was not a lot. You know what I mean? It was like 40 G's, something like that.
It's in today's world is.
And I'm like, what?
It's like almost poverty in today's world.
Like without knowing that, you would think like, or maybe even with knowing that, I would love to be like, I would trade places.
Yeah.
Without even knowing the money part of it anyways. And you wouldn't expect that. You would think it would be something more than that. And yeah, it's like, I need to, you got to look at things from all sides, and
that was a touring band that you had looked up.
Oh no,
or
we're
found
talking big.
Okay.
We're talking like, I don't know. I can't.
Well, the
think of
reason
He'll
it.
have it by the end of the show.
The reason I ask, I remember seeing a while back, probably scrolling through Instagram I think it was Instagram. I had went to an August Burns Red show, and that's not my favorite band by any means, but a band I've always admired just because of the business side and I mean the way they
success
blew up.
level.
Yeah, the
Respect.
success
Like,
level
they've been in the game for a while.
And
yeah,
been
and,
big for a long time.
And maybe this guy, maybe he just grew up doing this and it's in his blood and that's what he loves. But the drummer for ABR, who's a badass, he farms on the side. Like, he's a big time farmer. And I'm like, this dude's in August Burns Red. He's the fucking drummer of August Burns Red. And here he is. Of course, I don't know, but
I'm going to counter that a little bit. That's probably just a passion.
and it could be. It could be.
Jordy
yeah.
Nelson, played wide receiver for the
Yeah.
Packers,
Yeah.
multiple time Pro Bowler, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Was farming. Still farming. Like,
Okay,
he was
and maybe
farming
that's
during
the
his
case for
NFL
him.
career. Motherfucker's a multi-millionaire, was still farming. So
Yeah.
it could have just
That
been,
was his
Could have
training
been a
program.
passion.
could have just
Right.
been a passion.
Yeah. And
As
I
an
don't-
agriculture guy, it's kind of a passion.
Yeah, and I don't want to degrade or sound like I'm demeaning farming for
No.
any reason.
I don't think that's what you
But
meant.
I was shocked. I'm like, this dude's a fucking drummer for August Burns Red. He's out here farming when he's not recording or touring. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, yeah, well, that's also kind of a interesting flip too, because all of us, we've got day jobs, and
Yeah.
music is our outlet. It's our passion.
Yes,
So it's
absolutely.
like, oh, this person whose job is music, his passion and outlet is someone
Yeah,
else's 9 to
yeah,
5.
exactly.
else.
Yep.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's an interesting topic because it's like, boy, do I ever want to get to the point where this music isn't my passion anymore and it's a job? That's a very interesting topic for me
I
because
could probably speak a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Just because I'm coming up on a year ago, I quit my corporate job to pursue what my passion is, photography.
yes,
Love
and we
it.
do want to touch on that tonight
So-
too. So
It's kind of one of those things. It's like, I would absolutely advocate if you've put in the time and the effort to like build something up that you're passionate about, and it has the opportunity to become, even if it's not full time, but some type of revenue stream for you. Go ahead and do it, because why the hell not?
that's why we're sitting in here right now.
But yeah, no, it is interesting though, because like, even if that is your passion, what I think people kind of fail to realize is you still need some type of outlet for whatever is your day-to-day pattern, whether that's just like a 9 to
You gotta break
5.
the monotony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything becomes monotonous. Everything becomes a pattern. And I've even noticed that with a lot of my photography. The stuff, it's not that I didn't love photography as much as I ever did, but I started, as I became more proficient at certain types of photography that I was finding myself doing a lot, it became kind of more formulaic. It's like, okay, I know this scenario. I
Yeah.
know the formula for this. Here's my settings. Here we go. Like that. And then it's like, okay, but I also have my other outlet, which is music, Sourblood. I get to play heavy music with my best friends.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's just kind of my creative escape. Now, on the flip side of that, the reason I would just, even though it's going to become monotonous, pursue what you're passionate about, because my worst day taking photos for a living is so much better than my best day being stuck in an office.
yeah,
There's no comparison.
yeah.
Yep.
And I want to flip that to Jay because teaching especially is what I believe should be one of the most sacred professions in this country.
It's fucking needed.
in today's world.
It is needed.
So
for
I
me
feel
right
like,
now.
and especially in today's world,
Yep.
I feel like your passion for that job has to be incredibly high to be able to do that. So I want to flip that to you and let you kind of run with, music versus your job and kind of, how you balance that and where you find, whether it's the breaking of the monotony or what is the true passion, that kind of thing.
Well, teaching definitely isn't for everyone.
No, sir.
I couldn't do it.
You
I don't
have
have
to
the patience.
have
I'm a crackhead.
so much patience. Because you think about all of the things in certain scenarios that you would want to say that you can't. Like, you can't. You have to handle things a certain way. And you have to have a lot of patience because it's tough. Especially, I'm an intervention specialist, so I teach kids that are special needs. Now it's not on the moderate to severe sort of spectrum. It's just on a mild moderate scale. So we're talking kids with ADHD.
So do you mean like an IEP, what we used to call an IEP?
Yeah, I write them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I write them, and I work with kids I create goals and objectives and work with them to try and reach those goals. And I mean, I teach the curriculum, the math, and try to come up with basically, I just, on all the things I have to cover, I just try to figure out what is the easiest and most efficient way to solve these or to do these. And then that's how I present it. But I also give multiple ways because not everyone learns the same way.
Sure.
So there isn't just one way to find the answer. So I present multiple ways, like multiple paths basically to get there. And whichever one sort of clicks with you and you're able to grasp it easier, then you just run with that. That's what you do. So I don't make everyone do it a certain way. You know what I mean? Like long division. Remember old school? Like
Oh yeah.
you got the little, whatever you call it, the little house
There
or
was
whatever.
yes.
And then
Yep.
you know.
Yeah,
Well,
check
that
mark,
isn't
yeah.
the only way to do division and long
I
division.
had one of my 8 girlfriends do it for me.
Motherfucker didn't have a girlfriend until he was 22. Continue.
But I mean, it's the way that I learned. But just because it was the way that I learned doesn't mean it's the way that everyone else should learn. So I do show that, but there's also multiple ways of doing it. But anyways, teaching, you have to have a passion for that because it's not like the pay is super high. One thing that's great is the schedule.
Yeah.
I love
Okay.
the schedule.
See, I've heard a lot of teachers say the opposite, so this intrigues me a little bit. Go ahead.
And the reason why I like the schedule is because, first of all, how many okay, well, let's put it this way. What's today?
July 19th.
Wednesday,
July
July 19th.
19th.
Yes, sir.
I haven't worked since May 19th.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, that's pretty
Summer's
dope.
off.
Pretty dope.
And you can
Chilling.
start a side business if need be. Like,
Fuck that.
And
He's
those
taking
few months.
vacation, bro.
I mean, yeah, I don't blame you there, but if need be, like,
So, summer break, and then you have Thanksgiving break, and then you have Christmas break, and then you have Easter, and then you have spring break.
yeah,
Then you're out for the summer again. It's like, okay, how many jobs can you have
yeah.
where you only work a portion of the year? I mean,
It is pretty great. Your dead period, you know what I do? What I'm doing every day right now when it's 90 degrees, I'm walking cornfields. I'm looking at corn. It's really hot when you're in 10-foot tall corn and it's 95 degrees and there's zero air moving in there. I'll trade you.
hey,
I'll trade you.
Well, and unlike
And I should say, I'm not bitching at all. I'm compensated rather well to do what I do, but it gets fucking hot out there.
well, I'll tell you, I can
Super hot.
relate. I can relate to that in a sense because for the first handful of years that I taught, I actually didn't take the summers off.
Okay.
So I had a second job,
Okay.
summer job. I worked like 8 summers out at the Ohio Department of Transportation. So I worked at ODOT.
Yep.
Then I worked like 6 summers at the Fayette County Engineer's Office, Steve Luby.
Yep.
So I ran a crack sealing crew. So I spent my summers, like the first at least 5 summers that I taught, in jeans and boots, standing next to a
Working like a
tar
dog.
kettle,
all that black tar.
hooked to the truck,
Ooh.
and just laying it down, and no AC in the pickup. Like, I know what that's all about. I would still work, but when you have kids and you think about, man, it's summer, and like at the time, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m., wake my child up at 6 a.m. to take them to a babysitter 5 days a week,
Yep.
all summer, when I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just extra cash. I was just like, I like the job. I like the people I work with. It's extra money. It's just a paycheck that I can just bank and not even have to spend and just stack it.
Yeah.
But, I was like, I'm going to start taking summers off.
The
So.
priorities switch
Yeah.
up. Well,
it is.
and
It is wild when you have kids.
unlike the last episode with Brad and Bloomy, when it comes to teaching in regards to the schedule, it sounds like the math does math.
They haven't heard that episode yet, but yes,
Math is math.
You'll get it when
You
we
may have
when
seen
you
a
hear
quick
the
little post on Facebook.
Justin the Bloomy and Brad episode. We talked a lot about how certain things don't fucking add up and the math ain't math. But yes, this appears that the math does math.
The math does math.
The
Yeah.
math is math.
So one thing that I'm always curious about, getting back to the music, especially two guys like you that have been in the game for a long fucking time, and we asked Brad and Justin the same thing. Coming up as a youngster, what were those early?
this is always important.
This is a super cool
because
conversation.
we know how much it means to each of us, and I always love hearing other people's.
We have talked.
musical
You guys have
journeys,
listened to the show. We've talked about influences and how they change over time, and where we got started. Preston and I were self-taught. Never had any guitar lessons. It's all self-taught, and we had certain influences that led us to do certain things with the guitar. And I'm always curious with our guests, where was that first moment where you're like, I'm in love with this band or this musician speaks to me. This is what I want to do. And who was it and why?
All right. Jay, you want to start off?
If you want me to.
Go ahead.
And you can mention many. It doesn't have to be
it
one.
don't have to be just one.
I'm just curious of your own
My answer's
musical
gonna be
journey throughout
long,
the years.
so-
That's fine. We got all night, brother.
Oh, let's
Situated
go.
here.
All
He's
right, get in
readjusting.
position.
This is going to be intense.
So at my earliest age, the first artist that I was just blown away by actually was
Please don't say Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh no, bro, we're going back, bro. I'm talking
Okay,
about
okay.
my earliest days
Okay.
as a kid.
And you're how old? I'm sorry.
I'm 39.
30. What?
Right?
Holy
39?
shit! You got
He's
good
older
genes,
than
dude.
Brad.
You got good genes, dude.
You got good genes, bro.
Jesus.
How are
Sorry.
you, Steve?
Continue.
I'm not 39.
Sorry, Jay. Continue,
ahead, Jay.
man.
It's all right. He sets the bar pretty high. That's what I'm aiming for when I am.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
so we're
Jeez.
talking back in the 80s.
Yes.
I
It was
don't know
Michael
anything about
Jackson.
him.
Fuck
Michael
yes, dude.
Well, yeah.
Let's
King.
go.
Okay.
Yes, the greatest
Okay.
entertainer to ever take a breath.
Ever.
So when I go as far back in my memory as like music, my very like first thing that I remember about music, it's Michael Jackson.
That's awesome.
But as I got older, and you know what? Come to think of it, when you listen to some of his songs, there are quite a few songs that have nasty guitar in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That
the dude had
chick-
Eddie Van Halen on a song. I mean, let's
And-
be real.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know
on.
if you've ever watched any videos or anything of his live performances, but his guitar player was a chick, man, and she would just get
Yep.
up there and
Shred.
shred. I believe she had like white hair,
Yes.
big white hair.
Big white hair.
She
Looked like
just-
Lita Ford up
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
just- Oh yeah. So then get a little bit older, and as it comes to metal, obviously Metallica, okay, the song Iron
We
Man,
can relate.
the song Iron Man
Black
from Black
Sabbath.
Sabbath. I was shown AC/DC, but I never got. I mean, there's a couple songs that I liked, but Metallica. But really, what was changing to me was Pantera. The first time I heard Pantera.
Yeah, dude.
You know what's weird is because you were into Pantera for some reason, and I feel fucking stupid. And I don't mean to steal
You
your
were into
fire
Guns
here.
N' Roses when I was into Pantera.
Yeah, for some, and I'm into some of the heaviest shit possible nowadays. But I don't know why, but I never got into Pantera.
So the things that I heard, like the music that I was having access to, because you got to remember, there's no internet.
No.
yeah,
There's none of this stuff. Okay, so the things that I'm listening to or hearing is actually coming from a neighbor down the street. And I know that my brother talked about him, about how we would go down and watch them practice.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
you did.
We'd watch them practice in their living room. They were a cover band. They would play like Bush songs. They would play Marilyn
Bush.
Manson songs, just all kinds of stuff. And so yeah, the Motley Crue Dr. Feelgood album.
Mm-hmm.
They showed that to me. They showed me AC/DC Back in Black, but it's when he showed me Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power,
That was a great album.
That's an incredible record, dude.
which let me just since that came up,
Oh, brother.
I'm just gonna go ahead
Riff
and
it.
say it because this is a hot take. Okay,
Hot take?
this is a
Hot
hot
take?
take.
Pay attention, Preston.
Vulgar Display of Power is not Pantera's best album.
I don't think it is either.
damn, we're dropping hot takes.
Hot take.
But I'm curious of which one you think it is. Is it the something down south? Can't think of it.
Great
It's got
Southern
the
Trinkill.
huh?
The Great Southern Trinkill.
That's it. Yes. Is that it? That you think is your best, or do you think it's Cowboys from Hell? Or
It's not Cowboys from Hell. Nope. And it's not Vulgar. Although that's what changed my life. Like
Vulgar Display of
there
Power?
were 3 songs on there, and This Love was the one that really. I had my dad. I talked my dad into burning me like a copy of it, but like this is back in the day, so we're not like burning. We're not talking about burning CDs. We're talking about dubbing cassettes.
Yes.
All right. So it's
we're not as,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're
Where
old,
you can
but,
like, you gotta stick it in there, and you gotta. Oh man. Yeah,
The
you had to go through.
nostalgia.
You had to rewind that shit when you were done. Like you're not just skipping.
Bro, it's just like an
between
old
songs.
VHS tape. You remember when you go to pull a VHS tape out and you're like, fuck, I forgot to record or rewind The Lion King. God damn it.
Yeah.
Same thing with a cassette tape.
Yeah.
You were not being kind. You did not rewind.
So that's what changed me for heavy. Got me into heavy music and stuff. But when I started playing guitar, I would have to say that my biggest influence was probably Kurt Cobain.
Really?
And the reason
Let's
why
go.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I mean, you could say Dimebag, like Dimebag had
that's here and
influence.
here.
You could say James, or not James Hetfield, but
Kurt.
Like I was always Kurt guy. Like that was my dude. We actually have this VHS tape. We shot a music video in my dad's garage. None of us could play any instruments. Okay, none of us could play any instruments. He had speakers in the garage, so like basically we could turn a song on in the living room and it's gonna blast out into the garage. And we had like plastic guitars.
Hell yeah. That's metal as
And
fuck.
our drummer didn't even have drums. He just stood on this like stool and just like
Slipknot.
just
Trash can.
did this in the air. But like I was Kurt and Brad was actually James. So he was like lip syncing all the words and he's acting like he's playing guitar and we're just like little kids.
Did he downpick the whole
Little
thing?
kids. Yeah, I had to do the solo. Like I had to do the solo and everything. But yeah, probably Kurt Cobain because when I was actually playing in a band, we were a Nirvana cover band.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where it started. It was a long time of playing music before I ever wrote anything that was my own. Like
Same.
a long time.
Same. Me too, man. He's
Yeah,
different, but I'm the same way.
Years. So we're playing songs like, just pretty much the entire Nirvana catalog because we were a 3-piece. It was easy to pull it off. Brad on drums, I played guitar, and Justin Hagler was our neighbor, our friend. He played bass. We played some Bush songs, some Blur song 2, if you remember that song.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a big influence for me.
Wow.
And maybe it wasn't ours just because like that time frame had passed.
I keep knocking your microphone.
Well, and it's
Little
funny,
buff.
he talked about Pantera, and we were just gigantic Metallica fans, right? That was it. It was Metallica. That's all it was. When we're starting to get into guitar, and you talked about the song "This Love" from Pantera that you said kind of hooked you on them. Well, mine was Domination,
Oh, yeah.
and because that song is super thrashy, right? So I was a big Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax. Like I was a big thrash metal guy, and then I heard Domination from Pantera, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking gnarly." And then I started diving into it more, and then I heard like Cemetery Gates and all that shit, and I'm like, "Well, this isn't thrashy, but this goes fucking hard." And I just got super hooked on them. So it's funny that you mentioned that, and it all goes back to how the influences change and you start to evolve musically. And I mean, you're talking about going from Metallica to Nirvana. That's here and here, man. I mean, that's,
Opposite ends.
yeah.
Yeah.
And not, difference in talent or anything. It's just completely different styles of music and how you start to grow and find different things that you like as you get older and start to play music and things like that. So that's super cool. I didn't know you were in a Nirvana cover band. Brad might have mentioned that, but I probably forgot it.
Yeah, we would play
'Cause of the bourbon.
little, little parties and
Right?
Denny's? What the fuck's up, Denny's?
No, Denny's wasn't available to us back in those days.
Circle pit.
So what do you say to people that talk shit about Kurt Cobain?
Because we have.
Who talks shit about Kurt Cobain?
I think
These
we have.
guys hate him.
I don't hate him.
So-
No.
I
was
called him a
huge-
three-chord.
I don't hate anybody.
I called him a 3-chord hero.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this about anybody who achieves any type of success in what they do. There's always going to be people who dog on them. Nirvana is not my favorite band,
Sure.
not by a long stretch, but Kurt Cobain, while he was with us, was able to make a living out of what he loved to do.
Yep.
And
he was a mess.
He was a
He was
mess.
a mess, dude.
Listen, other issues aside, in this area, he was able to be very successful.
Yes.
And whether you like the music or not, listen, man, he went out, he did something, and people loved it.
Well,
Yeah.
it was either you or Jay I believe it was you, Steve, and it means a lot to us. We talk about, well, you worded it best, but our creative escape.
Yeah.
And that was, I would assume, that was Kurt's, with everything else that he was dealing with.
When I think of grunge, right, and I think Kurt Cobain was grunge music.
Yeah, for sure.
He was the entire genre. And I've
Tyler
argued
would
with
disagree.
these guys. Tyler would disagree. Tyler would disagree because I called Alice in Chains not grunge.
Well,
I thought they were more metal than they were grunge.
I would say, yeah. Well, in certain songs, I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
But as far as being Kurt Cobain and just Nirvana in general being like the defining band, whether you agree they were all of grunge or not, they were definitely the brightest shining light out of that genre. They're the ones who kind of attracted everybody else to that and kind of shone a spotlight on all the other bands that were kind of in that vein as well.
We've talked about gateway bands, right? And I feel like Nirvana was the perfect gateway band in the 90s to bring pop and punk and all of this together
angst
under one umbrella.
And then like you're coming out of the 80s into the early 90s where this younger generation whose, older siblings or maybe even parents were jamming like hair
Cinderella,
metal and like all those really popular 80s bands were like, I just want something else.
Different.
Yes.
We want a music, as a new generation, we always want something to ourselves.
Right. And then here comes Nirvana.
Yep.
And it's not fast. It's not complicated.
Yep.
It's
Sludgy.
not polished. But it's just down and dirty. It's slow. It's sludgy.
And it's pissed off because
It's
I'm pissed off.
It's
And
life.
it's like the furthest thing from what your older brothers
It's not
and sisters
sex, drugs,
or
and
parents
rock
are
and roll.
listening to.
It's
It's just like, this is it.
Well,
right?
and really quick, Tyler, I know you were about to say something.
Tyler's
I believe I apologize
Super
because I know
Saiyan
we
over
cut
here.
you off. Me and
I
Tyler
got
don't do the
poop
greatest
face.
job of keeping that in mind. But I relate to that now that I think about it because Derek Muncie, shout out Derek once again, talks
Our
about, and I'm going to do I'm going to do a bad job of explaining and putting into words what he said, but he talked about metal music, and I know Nirvana wasn't metal, whatever, is your Sunday, what was it, Sunday morning, not your Saturday night kind of music, and maybe that's why the masses related to bands like Nirvana and Nirvana themselves so much compared to the hair metal, the party metal, whatever you want to call it at the time, and they wanted something different that they could escape to.
Yeah, just something like you said, like they could just call their own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You own it. I think that is the biggest driving force in new music being created is because every new generation there is people that want to create something that they can call their own. Because if not, then we would have been listening to the same music for the last 150 years.
Right.
And music constantly evolves.
And it's interesting too because like every genre, no matter what you listen to, there's going to be those benchmark artists, those benchmark bands along the way that kind of signal the changing. And I believe Nirvana is 100%.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
Love or hate them, they are that
Love
band.
or hate them, whether they were the only grunge band or not, like they were the band that signaled that change.
Yes.
Tyler, I apologize.
He's about to go Super Saiyan over there.
I see his blood pressure rising in his face.
I swear that Nirvana was not grunge. The only thing that was really similar about them and the other grunge bands is that they weren't polished. The other grunge bands weren't super polished in comparison to some of those like hair bands from the 80s and whatnot. They were really like pop punk is what they was.
They was.
That's what they was.
That's what they was.
And
Is that
hey man,
Central
That's
Ohio?
that fan county, baby.
That's Southern Ohio coming out of you, boy.
But I think the reason a lot of people clump them in with that grunge genre is because, I mean, it was the Seattle scene. It was the Seattle sound kind of thing. And they were the band that kind of punched through the ceiling for the entire Seattle scene and kind of
100%
brought
agree.
I would agree with that.
everyone else up with them. But through that, they did kind of overshadow some of these grunge bands, and people just kind of clumped them in with that whole group.
Yeah, I don't know if that's completely their fault though.
It's not.
It's not. It's just like they were the band that people kind of attached themselves to.
Right.
And the spotlight was shown on, and if the spotlight's shown on one band, obviously that's going to cast a shadow on everybody else.
On everybody else, correct.
But, and this is like, I can't really hate them for the success. And again, not the biggest Nirvana fan. Like, I respect them. I do like the music. I think Kurt Cobain, it was a tragedy that we didn't get to keep him around for,
I would
as
say
long
the
as
same
we
thing
did.
about Lane Staley.
But you also bring up another point, like how you say they're, maybe they're not grunge, but they kind of get lumped in with that. How many times do you guys talk to a band and you ask them, what kind of style
genre would you put
Yeah.
yourself in?
They don't know how to answer.
That's us.
That's screaming evidence.
Yeah.
Like, we don't assign the genre to ourselves.
Yeah.
We find what we like in our influences. We start playing the stuff because it sounds good to us.
Yeah.
But what bands are metal and what bands are grunge and what bands are punk, that's for other people to decide retroactively.
Do you want to know what I consider Sourblood?
What?
Metalcore.
Metalcore? I mean, me too.
Metalcore.
I mean,
Straight
metal,
up,
bro.
straight
Just
up
metal.
metal.
It's just metal.
We say we don't like talking about genres, but every episode we delve
love
into
talking about
genres.
genres.
Man.
genres are fun.
hate it.
Genres are fun.
Norma Jean actually has a very good kind of approach to this and kind of philosophy. Love Norma Jean.
We talk about them a lot on this show.
I was watching one of their documentaries that they put out while they were making one of their albums, and the singer said something along these lines. I'm probably going to butcher it, but he's like, we just love playing heavy music. So when we get together and we write, we're not just trying to write a metalcore song. We're not trying to write,
a hardcore record.
hardcore or whatever genre or subgenre you want to classify. They just want to get together and write heavy
Something that
music.
feels good.
And you
too.
feel that.
And
in their
heavy
music.
is
And
a
it's
feeling.
so, dude, Norma Jean is one of these bands that has been around forever.
25 years.
Is with every single album that they put out getting better and better.
Absolutely.
That
I
last
was
album was a
jamming.
fucking
The album
rager.
he's wearing
I
the
was
shirt
jamming
of, Death
the
Rattle.
Anti-Mother
Ooh.
yesterday on the way to work, and I could have just kicked the fucking door in, dude. I was
Right.
ready to go.
Yeah, but then you go listen to Death Rattle and you're like, ooh, they've gotten so much better since
And then
this.
Spearmint Revolt, I
know,
believe,
'cause
is
that-
that,
Spirit-
Revolt,
oh,
yeah,
that
dude.
end of that song where it's just one note, just
Yep.
All hail.
and
Yep.
like, oh
All
my
hail.
God.
It's all hail, right?
That's-
That's
the
my
album,
You're
I think.
struggling over
All
there.
Hail is my
Go home
favorite
smell
Norma
like
Jean
Buffalo
record.
Trace.
I mean, All Hail is a no skip record for me. That
Oh man.
Yeah, and before we delve into Steve, your own musical journey, because I am
I was gonna
anxious
say,
to hear that.
we
Ride the waves here on
We
this
do.
show. Listeners,
fucking
you guys,
go, man. We're just
all
having
the
a
listeners know
conversation.
we ride the wave and
riff it, bro.
Yeah, this is what we love.
used to do a show sheet. We don't do that anymore.
But Jay, do you have anything else to add on your own musical journey? Because I feel like we may have stopped you maybe in the middle a little bit, which is okay because we're rode with it. But
yeah, so being in the Nirvana cover band and just going up through the middle school days, a life-changing event for me as far as music goes was the 8th grade talent show at our school.
I'm juiced to hear about this, bro. I love talent show
this
stories.
sounds metal as fuck
So
already.
I went to the Washington Courthouse schools, the school district.
That's unfortunate.
So at the
Continue.
middle school,
Hey, yo, fuck you, bro.
I started at Trace and then moved into Courthouse. So it's time for the talent show, and some of my friends, we sign up. Now, a lot of the stuff that I've done musically, my brother is younger than I am, but he's like 2.5 years younger than me, but like grade wise, when I was a senior, he was a freshman. So when I'm in middle school doing the talent show, he's not in middle school at that time to like do the talent show with me.
Yeah.
So I'm finding people my age. I'm playing, finding friends. The auditorium at the middle school was being remodeled. Something was wrong with it. So
There was always something wrong with it.
so we had to perform over at the church. I believe it's Grace Community. Is that the one that's right back
Like right
there?
across the street from it, or
Yeah, is that
Community's back behind.
I don't go to church, so there's
Summit
feels like there's
Station?
40 of them.
Summit
But
Station? Gotcha. So that's where the talent show was.
Piss.
Yep.
While he's telling this story.
feel free to step out if you need to.
So it was the first time that I'd been on stage in front of that many people. It wasn't the first live performance I've had, but when you're talking about playing in front of 10 people, maybe, you know, to playing in front of like 400 or 500
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That's a
And-
big difference.
And to get up there, we played the song "Damn It" from Blink-182.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I have to say
I think that's
that
damn it.
after the Nirvana cover band, I've played in a band that covered stuff like when Korn and Limp Bizkit were first.
Love it.
Some new metal.
Okay, I've played drums in a few bands. I played drums in a punk band,
Love it.
like a pop punk band.
But you use the fuck out of that snare.
Yeah. I played drums in a Christian rock band. We played a lot of churches. So anyways, yeah, so I've played a lot of, it's not just like metal, you know what I mean? It was Nirvana covers, and it's like new metal, it's like punk. Like I used to be in a band, a pop punk band, but like I also used to play guitar in a band where we played like old school punk, like Minor Threat, The Queers, Rancid, like
Sex Pistols.
Nah, not Sex Pistols. But
That's like the only old punk band I could think of.
Super fast and just
Yeah.
anarchy and whatever.
The Ramones.
So at this talent show, we played "Damn It" from Blink-182, we played "Song 2" from Blur, and we played an original song. And so we played those three songs, and everybody was going nuts. Like it was a life changing. Like that was I can like pinpoint that exact moment of this is what I want to do. Like I need to figure out a way to recapture these feelings that I'm experiencing right now, because to see like 400 or 500 people like up on their feet and like, you know Cameron Quigley, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know
Alright,
Cam
so-
real well.
Yeah.
All right, so he's a good friend of mine. We graduated together, but
Shout out Cam.
he was the MC of the talent show.
Yep.
So he's introducing the acts. He's like
Okay.
in a suit and all this shit. And so during like the last song we had, like the lights and the lights are going crazy or whatever. It's sort of like a moment. He runs down, like rushes the stage, gets up on stage and starts like running and sort of like not really like mosh.
He
and,
was
you know what
doing
I mean?
the
He's
Angus
just
Young.
He's just acting a fool,
Yeah.
and it's just I don't know. It was a great time.
Or the Bruce Dickinson where he just goes all over the fucking place.
I'm impressed that you
So-
remember who Bruce Dickinson is.
Oh yeah,
so
Iron
I'm
Maiden's
like-
got some shit.
I need to
Obsessed with him.
like do
Recapture
this a lot
this.
more.
Yeah.
Do this a lot more.
I'm going
So
to dedicate my life to this.
This is my whole personality now.
This is the calling.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I got into high school is when I got into Once Pure and the Battle of the Bands that they would have at the Kiwanis Teen Talent Show and the Battle of the Bands back then. Everybody was in a band. And it's not like it is now, I feel like. So we could set up like weekend, like little parties or whatever, and just everyone was in a band. Like I could get 4 or 5 local courthouse bands to like play.
That's fucking awesome.
And so when you have a battle of the bands where people are competing to win money, there's a lot of people playing. Like
Yeah.
they want to get in and do it. So my first year doing it, we won first place. And the years after that won as well. But afterwards, like my brother was able to do it like 2 years, but like it got to the point where it dissolved because there was not enough kids playing music.
Ugh.
There was not enough bands to justify having a battle of the bands, because how are you gonna have 2 bands get up there if that and like compete against each other.
Yeah.
Thunderdome. Only one of those bands is leaving.
Yes.
It's
like the Blood Dome on Rick and Morty. Yeah. Well, and we've talked about like the warehouse, right? So like back in the day, like that's
warehouse.
Huh?
I remember the warehouse.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, and now it's like a fucking Dish Network office.
Yeah. This Fire's Embrace, one of my favorite shows we ever played was at the warehouse.
No shit.
Yeah. We were there with a few other bands, The Beneath, and then there was like another band that was like a big Radio U type band, but they were heavier, kind of punkish, but really good. I'm going to kick myself in the butt for not being able to think of their name, but
This motherfucker can't remember his own name sometimes, so don't worry about it.
I choked
No,
today and
that's-
almost died,
that's
so it's
true.
okay.
yeah, that was a great show. I remember it like it was yesterday, except for the name of that band.
It was
And,
it was such a cool scene, and I've talked about it on the show before. It's been a long time since we've talked about it, but it was so cool to have a place like that in Southern Ohio where us metalheads could go, and whether you were skating or you were just listening to local bands jam and having a good time, and it was seen and it was cool and everybody got along, and it was just an awesome place. And now there ain't nothing like that around here anymore, you know?
And that's kind of sad because I feel like every town, no matter how big or small it is, needs some of those places that are just kind of like sacred places.
Yeah.
That are communal places for whatever you're into. Like skaters need the skate parks.
And thankfully, we still do have a skate park, but
Yeah.
we don't have the warehouse anymore.
But
We
yeah,
don't-
the warehouse, or when I was growing up in my hometown, like we had St. John's Church, where just every single Saturday night there was going to be a show, and everybody who was into like punk, metal, hardcore, whatever, just descended on St. John's and just was there. That was just
Descend upon it like Area 51.
exactly even the Naruto run and everything.
Yeah. Hey, I seen one of those today. I was in Middletown and I was at a
saw a
stoplight and
Naruto
this
run?
dude is like Naruto running through traffic and it scared the shit out of me.
Well, I don't know how to respond.
He
to that.
disappeared.
I don't know what's
He
scarier,
disappeared.
a
listens to some
Naruto
badass
run
bands.
or somebody
Well.
that's like powering up like Goku on DBZ.
No,
He's
just
just
some-
like standing there yelling like
Listen.
he thinks he's gonna like.
If I see someone just standing on a corner, just screaming in like a power horse stance, like I'm gonna just trust him and just believe that whatever he's doing is accurate.
Yeah, he's
It's like I'm
probably
just gonna
a
stay
Super
out of his
Saiyan.
way.
Yeah, he's
Can we all
probably a
agree-
Super Saiyan.
Can we
Yeah.
all agree that the Naruto run, I apologize if I pronounced it wrong, Naruto is metal as fuck.
It is. Everybody that did that was seen. They were 100% seen, bro.
Wherever you're running there fast, and you're running there head first without
purpose.
putting any,
You
without
don't give
any
a fuck
plans.
about nothing.
No, there's
no
no
plans
plan.
to put your hands
Yeah,
out
those
in
your
front
arms
of you.
are back. There
arms
is
are
no
back.
protection, bro. You are dead ass going for whatever the fuck you're going for, and I am not.
And
gonna
your
be the
legs
one
got to
in your
keep
way.
moving, otherwise you're going to fall forward.
You can't just stomp on a dime.
No, there's no stopping.
No stopping.
No. There's either a person or a wall that's going to stop you.
For sure.
Like the people that go to Norma Jean concerts, I feel like that's how they run into that show.
Oh man, yeah. For sure it was, just inhabiting the outer rim of that Norma Jean show, just enjoying the music.
They can't stop running. They have to keep going.
I'm just-
When dude from Norma Jean says circle pit, that's what it is.
That's what's happening. And you're either into it and you're in the pit, or you're just standing off on the edge, just
Drunk
enjoying
as
the
shit.
show.
People watching
Yeah.
like crazy.
You don't even have to be
man.
drunk as shit. I'm just too old, and I've been too old for about 12 years now to get into a pit. Pretty much ever since I started playing music consistently was when I was like, I don't want to pit anymore. If I'm not playing music and I'm just watching a show, I just want to watch a show.
That's me. We talked about that on an episode we just dropped. Is pit etiquette and how I've gotten to the point where I don't enjoy the pit anymore. And maybe it's my age. Maybe it's I don't know.
For me, it's 100% the age, because the etiquette is still there. I see it every show that I go to. And I even saw it, it was a couple weeks ago. I went to go see Between the Buried and Me up at the Newport.
Fantastic, man. Yes, sir.
Amazing, mind-blowing show. The pit was gnarly. It was big. But people, like, I was standing up on the balcony. It was at the Newport. And I could see people, like, if someone went down, like, people stopped and
Tyler, what
got
did
him
we
back
talk
up.
about, dude? Like, dude went down in the pit at the Counterparts show, and like 6 people like ran in to pick them up. It's like,
You don't even have to stand up on your own. You just do this. And they
no,
lift
they're
you
going
up.
to.
Right.
You will be
I
on
saw
your
people
feet
crowd
faster than
surfing.
you went down. Like it's
but people take care of each other. The pit etiquette still exists, and I'm glad it does. But I, even like as a young person, at 22, I was like, no, no more.
I think 25 was when I was finally like, you know what? I think I'm past my prime on my pitting days.
Well, since we brought it up, the thing I brought up about the pits is I can't stand the people in there throwing elbows, throwing punches, karate kicking and
Doing
shit.
the crazy
The
kick,
slam
back to
dancing?
back.
Yeah.
Because
The
without
back fist. There it is. A spinning back fist.
without
because
recognizing their surroundings.
Right.
like
so
if you're
here's
wanting
the
to
thing.
fight, like go get in an
Like, if you wanna
octagon,
fight,
bro.
you
I
can
think
go
it's
fight.
just. I think it's just a level up
That's
of the Naruto.
that's
bro.
another reason.
Here's the thing. There are 2 different ways to pit, as far as I'm aware of, as far as like just general ways
Pitting,
to pit.
yeah.
There's the pit, which is moshing,
Yep.
and then there's slam dancing. And I've seen
Okay.
both, and I've been to shows where one was more prevalent than the other
Yeah.
on both ends. The one that I'm thinking of that comes off right to mind, it was out in Newark, and this was, I can't even tell you how long ago this was. This was a while. It was Haste the Day, Across 5 Aprils, and a couple other bands. And it was a slam dancing crowd. And I'll tell you what, those kids doing those karate moves got synced up, and they were doing all the same moves at the same time in a straight
pretty
line.
fucking cool.
And it
That might
was
be pretty
one
cool.
of the
Yeah.
coolest things I've ever seen. It was like a dance, and they were just putting on a
That's
show of
awesome.
their own, and it was all synchronized, but none of them never like met before the show.
Wow.
You brought up the
It was cool.
You brought up the perfect point. It's when the mosh pit, whether it's the wall of death or
You
just the
gotta-
regular pit,
Yeah.
meets slam dancing.
You got to
And
know which pit you're in.
because we were at, listen, I'm the guy. If you are in the pit, and whether you're moshing, your circle pit, your wall of death, your slam dancing, whatever, if somebody has their back to you and they're looking at the stage, don't shove them in the back.
Right.
Don't. That's like, he got shoved pretty hard one time in the back, and I'm like, dude, he is clearly just he is not moving. He is on the edge of the pit watching the show, and he got shoved in the back, and I'm like,
Right.
bro. It was a younger guy, and I'm like, dude, you got to know, if they're not looking at you, don't shove them.
No,
because you know where
definitely not.
if he wasn't a big dude, he could have ended up on his face. And
For sure.
and unfortunately, like I just saw today where somebody got killed
Animals
in a pit.
as leaders.
Animals
guitar
as leaders
tech.
guitar tech just got killed in a pit.
Yeah.
Seriously?
At
Killed
the
in a pit.
counterparts show that, I mean, the same show bill that him and I
Billings,
just
Montana.
went to in
Billings,
Billings,
Montana.
Montana. Dude got killed in a pit.
Animals as leaders. Guitar
the-
tech.
That's
What was he
insane.
doing? What was he doing in the pit?
I think it
Animals
was
as
a
he
different
was just
band.
there at the show.
A different
Animals
band
as
was
leaders
playing.
wasn't
So
playing.
he was just watching
Oh,
the
He
show.
was
wait
just
a
at the
minute.
show.
I got you.
He got killed
Okay.
in a pit, dude. And I don't know the circumstances. I'm not going to pretend to know.
Well-
but I do know that he. I mean, it was put out on social media that he got killed in a pit.
So here's the thing, because I've also seen pits go bad.
Is that a show?
Yeah, it's been not at one of our shows. All of our fans who come out and support us are phenomenal. Their etiquette
You guys
is
have
amazing.
fantastic fans.
And we're grateful for them, because I was at a show again a long, long time ago, up at this club on like OSU campus, and a friend of mine had come to the show, and this was back in like, I want to say like 2007, 2008. And he's looked like he just stepped off at the time, like out of an Abercrombie and Fitch like catalog,
Did
right?
he have the 3-button polo? The
3-button polo, the shorts, but this dude was cool as hell. I'd grown up.
Bro,
as
we all dress like that. It's all good. It's,
right.
It's,
Nowadays it's whatever.
Right.
But back then there was definitely like kind of a line, like if you look like a poser, you're
Yeah.
gonna get treated
you're
like
gonna
a poser.
get treated like a poser.
There's a dress code here.
Yeah.
There was, bro.
But here's
Straight
my
up.
friend just at this show, at this, I want to say, I don't know. I honestly remember where the club was, but I can't remember what the club name was. And if it is still there, I don't want to like sound like I'm shit talking that club, so I'll just move on. But
You can tell he's in a band.
yeah, right. Book us later. But no, my friend, it's a heavier band that's playing. I've at this point had been into metal for many, many, many years. I've known this guy since kindergarten. There's like only a handful of people in my life nowadays I can actually say that about. And the pit starts, and he's not getting in it. He's just standing at the edge. All right. All of a sudden, he goes down, and we don't know what happened, but we go up and we get him, and he's got a gash from like the back, like right behind his forehead all the way down like to his eye.
Holy shit.
And what the doctor had said when we took him to the ER, it looked like someone, just based on the severity of the wound, someone had taken what looked like with brass knuckles.
Wow.
And came at a running start and clocked him. And there was like videotapes from the thing, and we actually found where he went down. And it was a guy who had spotted him, had no idea who this guy was, just spotted Brandon, who was my friend, and did a couple laps and kind of kept his eye on him. And then on one of his like wraparounds, you could see him like messing around with something, but he just comes around and just clocks him in the face.
Holy shit.
You couldn't really, it was an old video. This is like,
Well, that's felonious assault.
right. But that's like kind of the thing. Like, dude, there's going to be,
Because he was dressed the way he was. Is that what I'm
we're assuming, because there was
It
no
would
other
make sense.
There was no other reason why this guy would target him. He'd
Holy
never met him before, never talked to him, never done anything.
Wow.
And just like just because he was decked out in Abercrombie gear, like at first he stood out.
Just 'cause he smelled good, you know
right?
what I
He
mean?
probably smelled good.
Is he okay?
I feel like I'm a fucking victim here.
First off, I want to say, is he okay?
Oh, he was okay.
No
So-
long-lasting injuries.
No
nothing
long-lasting
like that. Okay.
injuries. I mean,
thank
he's
God.
kind of, not quite right to begin with.
None of us are, bro. None of us.
But-
Brandon,
metalheads
it's
are.
okay.
But no,
I
like-
relate.
So
That's
that just goes to show,
horrible,
like, what I love about the metal scene is that we all take care of each other. There's an etiquette there. We look out for each other. We, help out when we're needed.
Yep.
We're a family, right?
Yeah, we talk about that all. It's a
Brotherhood.
brotherhood.
It really
Yep.
is.
It's a brotherhood. But just like anything else that you get into anywhere, there's
a
going to
bad
be
egg.
assholes.
Yep.
There's going to be assholes. And this dude happened to be an asshole who saw my friend decked out in Abercrombie and was like, this kid's a fucking poser. I'm going to hit him in the face with brass knuckles.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
I mean, he could have killed him.
He could have. Absolutely.
I mean, very easily could have killed him. And
now,
that's terrifying. And
it's terrifying because it's out there. And then Animals as Leaders, their guitar tech is just another example. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
I don't either.
This is the first time I'm even hearing
It
about
was today. It was
Yeah,
today,
we
right?
sent it today.
It just happened. Okay,
And
so
that
we're
is
sitting here
a
July 19th. It
tragic-
was either last night or the night before last.
No
It's-
matter, no matter what the scenario was, no matter what the situation was, it's a tragedy. And, my thoughts and prayers go out to that
Absolutely.
person's family,
we said the same thing.
to Animals as Leaders.
And you feel horrible for counterparts because, I mean, they put something on their Instagram today. They're like,
yeah, the band playing. What the hell?
You would
know,
feel guilty.
you would feel
Yeah.
so guilty because it's your pit. You know
It's
what I mean?
your pit, and something like that happens.
And it could, I don't, from what I saw on social media, it doesn't seem like it was anything malicious. It seems like a freak accident. We talked about in our group chat today, he could have just took a nasty spill and hit his head. And it's just,
Yeah, that's
People are fragile.
people are.
You know what I mean?
Listen,
It's awful,
we are.
dude.
Well, the last show we went to, or together, us three,
the Norma
we went
Jean
to the
show?
Norma
Yeah.
Jean show. I was wanting to get in the pit, and if I'm not mistaken, I did very,
It was
very
wild.
briefly. But the floor was soaked.
It was
With
fucking
beer.
awesome.
It was soaked, and I'm like, I'm not
So
getting
many
in this
people
and slipping
fell.
and falling on my
and he
head.
backed out. I never went in it. Just, again, my pitting days are over. But these two went in it. Tyler was pretty good, but Preston slipped a couple
I
times. He's like,
slipped, and
okay,
like,
I'm
nope,
done.
I
And-
ain't doing that.
Oh yeah, dude. The King of Clubs, like people are spilling drinks.
Yeah.
People are sweating.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah, oh,
there's
yeah.
all sorts of.
It gets pretty gross.
I was
in there.
sweating from headbanging, man. I was just losing my shit. I'm like,
yeah.
boundaries made me question my whole fucking life. So I know we've gone off on a huge tangent, but Steve, I 100% want to get your musical background and kind of where Jay took us on that trip. I want to hear, from where you started to where you're at now. What were your influences and kind of what made you fall in love with music and what made you fall in love with metal music specifically?
Music, I've always kind of been inclined. Like I was a big Michael Jackson fan too, growing
Yes,
up.
dude, I love that.
Right, and now I can't listen to them anymore, and it's not for the reasons you think. I'll get into that a little later if you want.
Absolutely, I want.
We'll circle back around. But yeah, so honestly, like from my earliest memories of loving music, I've always been attracted to like the heavier type, screamy type stuff. And the first band, and this was probably when I was like 6 or 7.
Give us a year.
Right. This would have been.
I always wanted to know that because I want to gauge where I was at that point in time.
This would have been like 93, 94.
We weren't here.
I
yet.
wasn't here yet, so
So
yeah.
you were non-existent.
Yeah, 95 was when I came about. So yeah,
95, dog.
95.
Damn. So,
Jay,
Hey, man.
Jay goes,
so I was 11.
You can't choose when you're born, bud.
no, I was
Bro,
born
you-
in peak grunge.
Jay,
when I was
Jay,
born.
well, even Steve, you look good, but
Thanks, man.
You guys look
look
incredible
like
for
you
your
look
age.
like
You
you're
guys are
fucking
too
3,
good
4
looking.
years older than me.
You
Man.
guys
That's
look two
crazy.
good looking dudes. I mean, I'm no homo, but y'all good looking dudes.
So hold up.
Is that the
All right,
bourbon
real
talking?
quick.
Hey,
Hey, no,
I'm
no,
out of
listen,
here.
listen.
I know exactly where this is
Jay
going.
said, "Listen,
All
listen,
right,
listen."
because Steve's story is probably going to take a while. No, but this was a perfect transition into this.
Let's go.
Just because
This
of
is
based
a
on what
good-
you said.
You're better at transitions
All right.
than we are.
So there's been a Sourblood shirt design that has been in the works for a while, and there's
Not
a
yet out.
there's a backstory to it. But the thing about it is, people that just come to a show and see the shirt and potentially buy the shirt, they will not know why. They're probably going to look at the shirt and be like, "What the fuck?"
Just tell them to listen to this episode. And they'll
Yeah, just
understand.
listen to this episode.
But there's a story behind it, but nobody will get it
We'll put it in the description.
unless you hear the story. So, whenever we play shows, we always record our shows. We record our shows, and then we go back and we watch them, and we critique. You know, we look at things that we did well, things that we didn't do well. You know, what can we improve on, things like that. So as we're hooking up, and we're out in the practice space, and we're watching the previous show that we're checking out. When the camera comes on, you can hear people talking, by where the camera's, right? So you can hear people talking, like as we are getting ready to go on, and then as well, like, during the set. But anyways, so there were girls, and they were talking about me and Steve.
Uh-oh.
And they were calling us snacks. They're like, "Damn, look at that! Like, that's a snack right there.
That's
like,
a
just
whole ass
shit like that, right?"
Yeah.
We had no idea, but like we hook it up to watch it, and we're like,
The fuck?
so it's been this all. So because we overheard these people continuously refer to us as snacks. It's been this ongoing sort of joke, about calling me and Steve the Snack Shack, or saying like Snack 30. So then, is it Snack 30? So then they've taken it a step farther, and they're like, "Hey, we should get a Sourblood shirt, the Sourblood Snack Shack,
Oh,
and make it like a
Jesus.
50s diner, like old school."
Where
you know
is
what
the
I mean?
shirt, and how do I get one?
It's
Yeah.
coming. It's coming.
And I'll,
So are them girls, apparently.
no, but it's
Special
like,
sauce.
Stop it.
first it was
Snack
just like
Shack.
I mean, it's whatever. But I'm like, are we serious? Like, we're doing that?
Oh, you got to do it.
We're doing
Dude, that's a hell of
Dude,
an idea.
the back of our shirts for the pod say that's metal as fuck, and like out of nowhere we were like, wow, two or three episodes deep, we're like, wow, we've said that's metal as fuck a couple times. We're like,
That's
we got to
our
put that
tagline.
on the shirt. That's
That's
our
our
shit.
tagline.
But we're like, we
That's
can't
a
put
good-
as fuck, so let's just put AF so people can still wear the shirt in public.
Oh, dude, I had an idea for a hat that I wanted to make. I don't think I've even told you guys this. I wanted to have it say "Make America Metal Again,"
Sweet.
and then start a group called Mama's Boys.
Bro, that's so perfect. Why the fuck didn't we think of that?
Well, now it's on tape. It's me. It's my
Steve.
idea.
He trademarked it.
Steve, are you married?
Motherfucker.
No, I'm not married.
Are you swimming in pussy?
No. I am not.
I see a ring on Jay's finger, so there's a reason I asked you this question.
No.
Is your
Listen,
snack getting around there?
I'm not doing bad for myself, but listen, guys.
Hey, listen, guys. Listen, I'm a busy photographer. I play in a band. I
It's
just
not
don't
even
have
that.
time.
I'm in my.
Have you made it to being an appetizer yet?
I prefer the snack life. No.
Oh, fuck, bro.
I'm doing about as well as any mid 30-year-old who's still playing metal music locally can be.
Bro, Under Oath's lead guitarist just turned 40. I'm sure he is getting hell up.
So I want you to just listen to what you just said and just compare Under Oath to Sourblood. Under Oath to Sourblood.
Yeah, but apparently you're the snack pack, bro. Come on.
I never heard them calling dudes sour pack, or calling it sour pack. I'm done with the
There's a
bourbon.
new
We're
fucking
gonna
candy
start
The
calling
called
you
bourbon
guys
is
the
taking
Sour
effect.
Pack Kids.
I've never heard anybody calling dude from Under Oath a snack. Just you, my guy. I'm just
listen,
saying.
I've shared a meal with Aaron Gillespie, and he's an attractive man.
I know that
Listen,
name.
I'm
Who is
comfortable
that?
enough
I'm
in
The
my
sorry.
drummer, the long
For-
red-haired drummer for Under Oath.
Oh,
Listen,
shit.
I am comfortable enough in my sexuality to say when I think a dude's good looking. Like,
Yeah, well, this is
Like-
the thing. Because I mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm terrible with names. Apparently, I'm just terrible in general. I was having breakfast. It was way back in the day when I was playing with This Fire's Embrace. We were playing Ichthus Festival down in Kentucky.
I've heard of that.
Great show, great festival. I don't know if it's still going on or not, but I'm sitting there at the the food tent. I'm eating a meal, having this great conversation with this gentleman, and he gets up after we finish. He's like, "Hey, my name's Aaron." It's like, "Hey, Steve," and then it dawned on me. He's like, "I've just been talking, just
shit.
shooting
The
the
drummer
shit
from Under Oath.
with the drummer from Under Oath," and I had no idea. I'm the biggest idiot in the fucking
But you
world.
probably had the best conversation because you didn't know he was the
Yeah.
drummer from Under Oath.
Yeah, we just shooting the shit
Because he's just a
talking band
regular
stuff.
guy.
Just a regular
That's
guy.
what we say. We say that so often about metal and metal musicians is that, like, I had a conversation with Chris from Like Moths to Flames, their front man,
Yeah.
and it was funny because I was wearing our pod shirt, and the first thing he said when I walked up to him, he was like, "I saw that logo on Twitter today," and I was like,
Sweet.
From Columbus.
"Try not,
remember
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely." But I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about a national band; they're huge.
that? Yeah.
Well, dude.
And it was just so cool. I was like, you're just a regular fucking dude. The same thing with, so I've met Levi Benton from Miss May I, who again is from Ohio, Troy. Great
Yeah,
dude.
we actually well, so this wasn't Sourblood days. This was when I was in Once Pure.
Once Pure.
We played the Newport with Miss May I,
Sweet.
and it was when they only had the first album. The Apologies Are for the Weak.
Yep. Which was straight up
Braden
deathcore,
Henry
bro.
got them.
And
in.
that album
got
was-
me into them.
I mean, to
Deathcore.
me, I
Shout
don't-
out
I-
Braden
they
Henry.
can't- I don't know.
Bro, that was
That's my
deathcore.
favorite. That's my
Oh,
favorite
it
album
was
from them.
sweet.
But at the time they had, this was like the first show of their tour. So as I met them and we're backstage and stuff, they're just getting, like, they just got signed basically, right? Like it's like, and they're talking to me about how they were about to do their first tour and all this stuff, and it's just crazy to well, I mean, you see where they are now. They're
Yeah.
still around.
I mean,
know,
fuck,
so
they're signed to Sharp Tone Records.
Well, they just
Jesus.
dropped that new record last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're touring right now. And yeah.
I just, when it comes to those guys, their first two albums, I thought, like, they had me, and then the third one, I think it was the third one, was, I just started to sort of veer away, but
Yeah.
Shadows Inside that came out in 2017.
We were
was
something,
just-
they
Obsessed
came back.
with-
Something came back. They
I-
came back.
It might have been Shadows Inside
Shadows
because me
Inside
and him
was
lost
just-
our shit to
oh.
him for 6 months.
Yeah, I went and saw. So
Yeah.
I went and saw ABR, August Burns Red, Miss May I, Fit for a King, and Crystal Lake at the Newport. Yeah, dude. I mean, I had VIP. I had backstage stuff. So
Crystal
I met,
Lake was in town?
Yeah, dog.
God damn.
So
motherfuckers are
after when we
crazy.
get done recording, I can show you the pictures and the videos. But anyways,
Yes, please.
so dude, it was nuts. So, and like all the vocalists came out and did songs together. Like all 4 vocalists would come out and do songs together with each different band. So like Levi Benton was on the shoulders of the bass player from ABR, like doing an ABR song. Frontman from Crystal Lake came out and did Stacking Bodies with, because Levi Benton is on Stacking Bodies from Fit for a King. Mm-hmm. So the frontman from Crystal Lake came out, which he's no longer with the band. They have a new guy now, but that dude, Levi Benton, and dude from Fit for a King all did Stacking Bodies together, and I was like, is this my life right now? Like, am I really living this? And then I got to meet all those guys after the show, and it goes back to they're all just regular dudes. They're all just super cool ass, down to earth.
Yeah.
They don't think that they're fucking larger than life, bigger than, whoever. They're not Ronnie Radke.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're
us.
They're
if
us.
We got the opportunities that they had, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty amazing.
I think you're pretty amazing too.
Thanks.
You are
have a red
you are
beard.
fantastic.
I'll give you credit there.
You are
Nate.
fantastic.
I
You
just
are a red
shaved my
beard.
beard.
I can't grow a red
few
beard.
years
I can't
ago.
grow
Let's
a
say you
beard
got
at all.
some 5 o'clock shadow going. Did you just shave before you came to
I
the
did.
show? Or, yeah.
I can grow a full beard in like a matter of a couple weeks.
That's impressive.
I choked today,
How,
almost died, and I
thing is,
still
it's
don't
summer.
How
have
does
it.
that make
It's
you
hot.
feel, Preston?
Yeah, Preston can't grow facial hair.
When I'm 50, I'll look 26 and a half, so I'm cool.
That's
dude.
true. You'll look like
I'll have
these
so many
guys when
fine
you're
women
yeah.
on me.
There you go. If
So-
you look like us when you're 50, then you're doing way better.
You're doing
than
way
me.
better than us.
We're just
but
gonna slow down on.
there's
bourbon.
only one time that I can ever remember where I was actually like legitimately like kind of starstruck. It was again back in the TFE days. We were opening up for Brian Head Welsh.
Oh shit!
His band, his side project, Love and Death.
So that's Korn, right? That dude's
Yeah,
from
Brian
Korn,
Head Welsh
right?
was
Yeah.
the guitar player from Korn.
Yeah.
A guy that I had grown up listening to, and we'll get to that.
I was
when
gonna
get
say
to
I
my
want to get back to
influences.
your influences. Yeah.
But literally one of my idols, not necessarily as a bass player, obviously he played guitar, but just as a musician.
Fieldy,
as-
bro.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. But we're playing a show with his band Love and Death out in Bluefield, West Virginia. And we're one of 3 bands, including him. So it's not like there's going to be it's not like
It's not a
small
huge
crowd.
bill. Yeah.
It's not a huge bill, one stage, and massive crowd when we played. Biggest
Okay.
crowd I've played in front of to this day, and it was 7,500 people.
That's a
Jesus
big ass
Christ.
It was a
fucking
big ass crowd.
dude.
And they're here
Jesus.
to see one of the legends, and it's like the pressure for that was just like astronomical. But we're sound checking, and Brian is walking across one of the field, like the football field that we were playing on. And then he stops like mid field and then beelines it right to us because he likes what he's hearing when we're playing. So here we are, we're sound checking, we're playing basically a one man audience, which is Brian Head Welsh. And we're like, what the fuck is
What is my
happening
actual
right
life
now?
right now? Yeah.
What did I do to get here? And it,
Wow.
I
like,
did something right.
right. And then this was when we were all in Christian bands, and Love and Death was a Christian band. And then like as soon as he gets like maybe 100 feet from the stage, the pastor who had helped organize and was running the whole show comes up and it's like, hey, we're having a group huddle. And it's like, no, leave him alone. He wants to listen to us play.
Let him be.
Let him be.
Yeah.
But he goes to the group huddle. Luckily,
Come back.
but
Baby, come back.
that was one of the very few moments where I was like kind of surreal. Like this doesn't even feel
This
like
is
it
my
should be
life
happening.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my idols and one of my favorite bands of all time is watching me play music right now, and he's the only one on the field. And
Because you're just sound checking at that
we're just
point.
sound checking, yeah. And we got to meet the rest of his band that night. They were all amazing. We talked music, we talked tattoos, we talked everything under the sun till like 2 a.m.
That's amazing, dude.
And then luckily we were able to get on that same show the next year, and they had Love and Death back with Brian Head Welsh. And then we also did a follow-up show after that show in Kentucky at some type of convention center, same lineup. And at that second
Probably
show in
Louisville.
Kentucky, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
Brian was actually standing side stage our entire set and just like jamming out. And this is like one of those things.
Jesus, man.
Like it's one of those mountaintop moments where you're like, everything else could be just fucking shitty from here, but this is something I'm going to
Brian
treasure.
Welsh is sitting
I
here jamming
peaked
on
in
my
this
shit.
moment.
Yeah. And it was just one of those cool ass moments. It's like, I've never been starstruck before or since that moment.
Wow.
And it's
That's
just
crazy,
like,
bro. Bro, he's living like dreams. That's like that's crazy, dude.
It makes me realize that we're not working hard enough.
We're lazy, dude.
I can tell you right now, you're not working hard enough.
Which we've known that. But
Y'all write
still.
incredible music and you half-ass it. No, not half-ass is not the right term. It is trying to
we
find the
half-assed the
time.
delivery.
Yeah.
Man, probably because a lot of, we talk
There's
about
just a
when
lot
you
of
have
life.
kids and you've got literal responsibilities that your life and your the people you're responsible for, their lives depend on.
oh yeah,
It's hard to do
it is. And that's something
certain
that
things.
we all kind of have to grapple with as we're getting older, still playing music that we enjoy playing, not
Yeah.
just, playing in
You're not playing covers in a bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Which no knock on that,
No.
because if you're wanting to make music a living, that's a fantastic way to do it.
gotta do it.
Right.
I prevail. Excuse me.
But
You okay over there?
Yeah.
I'm good. Yep.
like as you get older,
Sound
and
like
if
me
you
joking earlier.
haven't reached some of those levels that some of these other bands have reached, like you just you gotta reprioritize just out of necessity.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
get families, you get things that are going to be more important, and it's not like the music isn't going to still be like one of your top priorities, but it's going to be like maybe top 3, top 5, and it's going to rotate through that top 3, top 5 every once in a while,
Yeah.
depending on
Shit
what's
changes,
going on.
man.
And that's one of the things I struggle with because like I'm in a place where even with the band or even by myself as an individual musician, I'm like, this will sound arrogant and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but like I know I'm a pretty decent musician and I'm like,
When you can remember the song.
when I can remember the song.
Show
that's
me that
cool.
riff again.
But it's like, dude, if I'm 10 years down the road or 12 years down the road and I literally didn't try, like fully try at this thing to play music for a
Right.
living, dude, I don't know that, like I'll be able to face that reality, but at the same time, like I'll be so upset with myself.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the thing. Like you don't want to, end this
You
life
don't want the
with regrets.
I don't
right?
want that, man. Gary Vee, he talks about it all the time.
Right. And like music is just one of those things, like once you catch the bug, like you're hooked.
You're hooked, man.
And you want to do it to the utmost capacity that you can. Some people get more opportunities than others. That's definitely due to a lot of hard work, but also a lot of just kind of random opportunities that kind of present themselves, and
Yeah.
being able to take advantage of those when you can. It doesn't happen for everybody. And that was the lesson that I learned very hard. Just being in This Fire's Embrace and touring the way we did, we had a manager who promised us the world, told us to quit our day jobs, and that like Tooth and Nail and all these other record labels were coming out to our shows and they were in contact with him, and it turned out to all be fucking false.
Yeah, that's
Like there's shit that happens, right? But the thing is, the love for the music never goes away. It doesn't matter what else I'm doing. Like right now, photography is my main thing. But I stepped away from music for a long time and always felt like there was something missing from my life while I was doing like whatever else I was doing. After This Fire's Embrace ended,
How many years was that?
it was 9 years from when This Fire's Embrace ended to when I came back
Sourblood.
and joined
so you
you
took
guys.
a rather long hiatus.
Wow.
So that was
Yeah.
that's a longer gap period than mine.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
So mine
Jay-
was
go ahead.
so when Once Pure dissolved, it was maybe 5 years. I'm trying to. I can't remember the year that we stopped playing. Like I don't know when our last Once Pure show was. 14, 15, something like that. No, it's probably about 4 years or
Yeah.
so. Yeah, but I also had a daughter. I had a daughter that was born in 2010. So, I didn't stop playing music as far as just like I have my guitars. And
Yeah,
I
being
jam
at home
around,
jamming, yeah.
and I do stuff. But as far as being in a band and playing out, it's probably about 4 years.
Ooh.
And my brother, you know, he'd been in Sourblood for a little while, and he was trying to, like, they would try to get me to come back to play. Like, come on, why don't you, you know you want to.
Yeah,
Like,
especially
why don't you come join.
You
or
were
whatever.
in Once Pure with Brad, so
Yeah, so, and I'm like, I don't know. It sort of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I'm still cool with all the guys in the band and Once Pure. Like, it's not like there's bad blood or we hate each other. Like, it's nothing like that. But when you were asking me to come back and be in a band and commit to a band, a lot of the sort of just memories kind of pop up of, you know, how
There's some trauma.
how things left, you know, and it's like, man, do I really want to go through all of that again? You know, I mean, we experienced a lot. Like, we did a lot of things, you know, a lot of good things. Some of the best shows that I've ever played has been with that band. But I'm like, I don't know. So what they did was they were like,
They sold your ass.
they were like, hey, we're thinking about maybe covering like a Once Pure song, like one or two. Like, what if would you get up on stage and like play a song with us? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll you know, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. Well, it ended up being, well, I mean, we're only really doing like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 songs maybe or something like that. Like, why don't you just, you know, why don't you do the set? I'm like, oh, man.
just a little bit at the time.
All
You're
right.
tugging at me here.
So I get up there. It was a terrible show.
Okay.
Like, not like from my playing, but it's just one of those shows where like there's technical difficulties. It's like an outdoor show.
We talked about that.
Powers, you know, you got power issues. You got
We've talked about that.
rain. Like, just it just wasn't good.
Sure. Just a multitude of different things.
So, you know, I basically thought that was it, and then they were like, "Hey, we have a show coming up in a couple months, in November." So this was like August when I did that show. They're like, "Well, in November, we're opening for Devil Driver at the Alrosa Villa, and it's like it's sold out. Like, will you play that show with us?" I'm like, yep. I mean,
got the bug
Devil
again.
Driver, like, sold out, like, Alrosa show? Okay, yeah. Like, you want me to play out in the sticks on the back of a trailer, like, with power? Like, nah, I'm not, you know. Anyways, yeah, I show up. It was an awesome show. It was insane. And then afterwards, out back, like, loading up gear and stuff, they're like, so, are you in? I'm like,
Fucking hurt your ass.
Hey, by the way, so we got like
People keep
5
asking
other
if I'm in.
shows. You know, you can play
5
with
national
us.
touring shows that
No,
were
but like
on.
I
We
sort of
need you.
had like
We need
some stipulations, you know, like
Yeah. We got a record to record.
we need a record that needs written. Yeah, so that's my job in the band is to, you know, everyone kind of has their little niche or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, Brad and Bloomy do a lot of the business
And they're
stuff.
good at it, man.
Screaming
They
Evidence
are.
is
They're
still trying to
very
figure out
good.
what the fuck he does, but yeah.
Just kind of
I just
hearing,
fucking riff, dude.
dude, just kind of hearing like just the snippets of conversations
friendly
that
face
Brad
of the
and
band.
Justin have about putting together like the bash or anything else that we do. It's like, I want no part of that.
The business side of it? Yeah.
Right. Just tell me when I need to be where
Yes.
to lift whatever heavy thing, and then
Play bass
play
wherever.
the music, and then
Yeah.
Where do I need to stand?
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
and
What do I
Jay-
do with my hands?
Yeah, Jay, you make a really good point in regards to that feeling of, and not that I've been in this position before, of maybe there was that taste of real success, you know, and then it went away or the band had dissolved and whatever had happened. But I remember growing up when I was learning how to play guitar and getting good at it and having my own influences and having people show me and teach me. And there, I don't want to mention his name on here because I don't know that he would want to be mentioned, but there was a local musician around here that I knew was pretty successful with it and supposedly was extremely fucking talented. And I remember when I was a kid, when I was around him, that like music wasn't interesting to him anymore, and he like always shied away from playing guitar anymore, and it was like he hated it. And it, as I've gotten older, it made me realize that he as a musician either had this passion and it didn't get to where he wanted it to go, or that there was a level of success that him and his group had reached, but it didn't catapult to that next level. And there's like a sour taste, ironic, you know, we're talking Sourblood, but there's that sour taste in his mouth. And I remember seeing that like on his face when me and my buddies were playing music as kids. And I'm like, I didn't understand it at the time, but now that I'm 28 years old, and I'm like, I think I see why he always was that way, or it felt that way being around him.
Yeah, and I kind of felt a similar way when This Fire's Embrace ended in 2011. Like, that had been the past 6 years of my life. And coming like pretty much straight out of high school, because we started during my senior year and then just kept going, and just like, this is what I was doing until I was like 24. It's like when that ended and we were so close to breaking through and actually having like some type of stable living to come out of this and just doing what we love, it's like, yeah, there's kind of like I touched a hot plate and held on a little too long type feeling about that. Because when I moved on to the next chapter of my life, I never really got away from music. There were some times where I'd pick up a bass here and there, but it just felt like I don't even want to touch this. And that was me for a long time, until December of 2019. Justin had reached out to me like maybe a month or two prior and be like, hey man, our bass player is kind of like on his way out. He's moving on to some other things. We need
He was
some.
supposed to be moving out of state. Like he was going to move out of state.
Yeah. Well, whatever he was doing, he was going to be moving on. You guys were working on Behind Enemy Lines, the new album. And it's like
Hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been
2019 was like last
Crazy,
year,
bro.
bro.
Yeah.
I remember when you guys dropped that
Because
shit.
COVID was a fucking blur.
Me and Jay sat in the
Everything was
parking
a
lot
blur.
at Muddy Creek Saloon, and he was showing me, I don't know
Some
if
of
it
the
had dropped yet or showing
No,
me
it hadn't.
previews.
That was
Yeah.
just preview
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, it came
It's
in
like-
August 2020.
Yeah,
Crazy,
August
dude.
2020.
Holy shit.
It's been almost 3 years. But yeah, Justin, who I had known since 2005, 2006, because him and Nick, who were some of the original members of Sourblood, when TFE was starting out, came to our practice space to do some of our first ever recordings of stuff that we were trying to work on. Like they just recorded us like right in, and that was my first time I met Justin. So I'd known him for a while, and he just asked like if I knew anybody who could help out on bass. And I was like,
That was very intentional. I'm going to go out
yeah,
on a
I'm
limb
going out. Yeah,
and say that was pretty
it sounds
fucking
like Bloomy's
intentional.
one hell of a salesman, because if he got
He's
you
very
into the
good.
band, and
We got this show.
So
Yeah,
Play
same
a
thing they
song
did with
with
Jay.
it.
They got you the same fucking way, bro.
so
Jay's shaking his head like this
I was like,
motherfucker.
you know what? I'm not doing anything. This is music that I'm really into. It could be fun. I'm just gonna come. I'm gonna help him write. I'm gonna help him record.
I'm going to come.
Yeah, right. All over the place.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
It was
that
a
with the condom
mess.
Yeah.
No, there's a little reservoir at the end.
The
But-
reservoir tip.
That's what you get with a good condom.
right? That's why you need a bass player.
That's right.
But
Damn right.
so I was like, yeah, I'm on board. I'll come in. I'll help you write. I'll help you record. And we get through like January, and it's like, we got this show coming up in February. We need someone to play. We've already agreed to play it. It's with Bleed the Sky. which has got Austin from Devil Driver as the drummer. It's his side project.
So it's kind of like the same story here.
Kind of.
It's the exact same fucking story.
There's some
but
parallels.
Austin plays drums in Chimera.
Also,
Chimera, yeah, I remember because I know that if I'm not mistaken, that's a big influence of Brad and Bloom.
Yeah.
and maybe
Mine,
yours as
Rob-
well.
Yeah,
Yours
I
as
never
well.
got to that, but like when I came to like writing my own songs, Rob Arnold was one of the biggest influences for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still
Bloomy
is.
talked about Coal Chamber too.
Yes, he was huge on Cold Chamber, and probably still is. Yeah, he just posted pictures over the weekend at Incarceration of Cold
Yeah,
Chamber.
he beelined it in the middle of Fit for a King to go make sure he was in a good spot for Cold Chamber when they started.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so they got me. It's like we got one show, play it with us. See, just because we already got it booked. It's like, all right, fine, I'll do one show. Played that one show, and it's like, fuck, I'm back.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, so this is how they get us.
Seems like Bloomy and Brad have the same power of persuasion as Sean.
Exactly.
Right.
Where it's like, listen, I know you're tired, but this song is so
like-
close. I know it's
Exactly.
3:00 in the morning, but we've almost got it.
I
Tyler's like,
just need
I
you
know
to
you
play
signed
it
up.
about 18 more times.
I know you're just signed up for writing and recording, but we got this show. We can't not play it.
we can't not
Could
have
you
a bass player.
Play it with
You're
us.
kind of already obligated to play it.
And like literally before we even stepped foot on that stage, I knew I was back in the. And
You knew you were back.
I knew I was back. I knew this was the band I was supposed to be with.
That's awesome.
Just the guys, Justin, Jay, Brad, like all of them, just felt like that feeling I had when I joined this Fire's Embrace. Like these guys, even though I just met them, other than Justin, it's like I felt like I'd known them forever. These guys are my family. These guys are my best friends.
awesome.
It's just like that instant connection. It's just like the music came so easily, and it's like even now with the new stuff that Jay's bringing to the table, it's like everything he's tossing our way is like I'm just as excited now
It's
in
fire.
2023
It's fire.
that I was, picking up the Sourblood stuff in 2019.
I mean, that new shit's fire as fuck.
Here's what you have to take into consideration. So I talked about how
I love that he's confident about his shit.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not like,
Listen.
yeah, I think it's good. No, it's fucking fire, people. Listen.
well,
It's so true.
so one of the things about when they were trying to get me to be in Sourblood and I was having reservations, I talked about how it left a sour taste in my mouth, like the way things ended with the last band, just everything that came with it. Well, when I joined Sourblood, what made me stick around, which sort of speaks to what Steve was talking about, is that when I was in the band, like when I joined the band, I'm like, oh, this is like a breath of fresh air because everyone's getting along. Everyone carries their weight.
Maybe not as
The
much
stress,
baggage.
I didn't have as much like stress and anxiety and worry and all this stuff that came with, when I was playing music before. So that was a good thing, and then that's kind of how it got with Tyler. And things were happening in his personal life, and so he was not making it to practice as much, and like stuff
Tyler,
was
that
coming
was
up.
the
His
old
name was
bassist
Tyler.
that I couldn't.
Yeah.
I have him on Facebook, but I couldn't
So,
remember who it was.
When I joined the band,
Okay.
it was Tyler.
Yep.
And he had stuff going on in his personal life. He wasn't making it to practice, and then he was going to be moving out of state.
Okay.
So it was like a mutual thing. I mean, he's even come to shows.
Yeah,
since
Tyler's a
then,
great guy.
That's
and like
awesome,
come
man.
watch us play.
I had met him a couple times, and he always
Oh.
seemed super genuine.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
So then, so Steve comes in. So now it's like, oh man, this is great. Like this is even better. Like, Steve just brings this like a presence on stage, a lot of energy, and it's easy to feed off of. And, a lot of time our live show, we're feeding off each other. And so a lot of times we're on the same
There's
side
no
of the
feeling
stage.
like it.
Yeah,
No,
no, I
and
can't
but
Well,
relate.
and I'll have
either.
people like there's like some
never played on
there's
stage,
people
so.
I look over
It's
at
a
this
blast. You should try
motherfucker,
it
and he's
sometime.
losing
Yeah,
his shit, man.
I
and
would
I'm
love
like,
to. I really would.
Yeah.
like we've had people comment though where they're like, you and Steve were like in sync. You were like
It's-
together,
yes.
like you
Yep.
just had like
You guys
we
were, like,
just like our
scissoring.
eyes were just like,
Yeah.
You guys were like
the whole
snacking
time.
together.
Yeah.
Right, just
kind of scissoring.
Look at those
snacking,
two
Voltron,
snacks on
just,
stage.
Yes.
This is the fucking
Like
snack
Mac-
shack, baby.
the one thing that we haven't talked about.
Look,
which was
really
one
really quick, and I know you're about to make a better point than me.
You better make it quick,
I'm a
motherfucker.
motherfucking co-host of this show. No, I'm just kidding. I relate with what you guys have said and the experience that you had in those laws of your musical journey and maybe those break in between bands. What bands got you back into, how do I want to say it?
The love for music.
That love for music, because I can relate. There was a lull for me in music because I had a bunch of changes. I think I was probably 19, 20, maybe 21, where there was a lull of specifically metal music for me. For some reason, I had met my wife and other things had happened, but
Sydney.
yeah, what's up, girl? There was a lull for metal music for me, and where I'm gonna meet ride them again, but a band like Polaris, like it gave me that love for metal music specifically again. That after that, I had then joined with Screaming Evidence because of happenstance and other things. But like, what were there any band? And if there wasn't, that's okay. But what bands maybe inspired you to spark that fire a little bit more?
Well, for me,
Jay, I apologize if I really cut you off. Super
all
good.
good.
Okay.
for me, the love for the music never went away.
Okay.
This was something that when I stopped playing music in TFE, it's not like I wasn't a metalhead anymore.
Yeah.
I was always trying to find like the new hotness that was coming out, like who had the sickest breakdowns, who had the sickest melodies, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I just genuinely love music, and I always have. When I stopped playing music with This Fire's Embrace and that part of my life was done, it was almost like I was kind of forcing myself to turn around from the performing aspect of it and forcing myself to do other things, and just kind of trying to ignore that crater that was left inside of me for as long as I could, right? It never went away.
Sure.
But as far as like bands that have always inspired me, like I mentioned earlier, when I was really young, I was always kind of attracted to that faster type of music, kind of more instrument driven, that kind of thing. And I remember as a kid, probably when I was like 6 or 7, my mom introduced me to Aerosmith's Back in the Saddle.
Okay.
And that was the first time I can ever remember hearing anybody scream on an album.
He does scream on that
Holy
record.
shit.
Yeah.
Right. And I loved it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
From there.
He screams on the title track.
Yeah. And it was like, I'd never heard
Music
anything like that.
encyclopedia over here.
But that was like kind of like the foothold into what I was looking for. From there, I got introduced to Black Sabbath, Sold My Soul for Rock and Roll, that album, and just like got into that. But what really kind of solidified me into the metal community, it's going to sound cliche, but Metallica. But
Fuck you, Tyler.
Fuck you, Tyler.
no offense to any other band, but it was Metallica's And Justice for
I
All.
knew that's what you were going to say. I knew.
Woo! Was
Dude,
it blackened?
Bro, Dyer's
It was
Eve.
Blackened.
It was
Yeah,
blackened.
it was
Let's
Blackened.
go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So as soon as I heard that,
He said, fuck you.
of course I got the rest of the album, and then I went to every CD store that I could find, and I got everything from Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All,
Yep.
not Justice for
Master
All,
Puppets, Kill 'Em All.
Kill 'Em All, Kill 'Em All,
Yeah.
to everything till I was caught up with and Justice for All, and then I got the Black Album, and it's like, okay, Metallica. Mind-blowing stuff. I'm a metalhead. I love fast. I love heavy. I love kind of those rougher vocals.
Yeah.
But the next thing that kind of really sealed the deal for me as far as becoming a musician,
Yeah.
When you were growing up, did you have like a cooler older kid in the neighborhood?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yes.
So there's a cooler older kid who lived 2 houses down from me, who said he was starting a band, and he was super into Metallica. We've been like sharing music for a while, and I looked up to this guy because he's the cooler older kid.
Yeah.
It's like, right?
It's like, what's his name? Matthew McConaughey's character.
That
in,
was my cousin for me growing
Dazed
up.
and Confused.
Yeah,
all right.
but not quite that creepy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Right? I was probably 12. This kid was 15. So freshman in high school.
Jay, hold on to your point. I know we're delving into something
We'll come back
deeper,
to
but
it.
I promise we
So
will.
I get to talk about my origin story now. But yeah, so shout out. His name was Mark Nance. Shout out Mark Nance. He said, I'm trying to start a band and I need a bass player. And I was 12 years old. I was like, I'll play bass.
I was going to ask you, how did you get into bass? And you're already taking me there.
It's like, there you go.
Because you
He said he needed a bass player.
needed one.
I'm going to be your bass player. I went home to my mom that night and it's like, what is bass?
That's metal as fuck. I'm
no
going to do
idea.
it. I don't know what it is.
I've never used a condom before. I don't
Right.
know what we're talking
I don't
about
know.
here.
I'm 12. What what is condoms? No, scratch that from the whole interview.
What is a bass?
What is a bass? And like at that point I was getting into like Papa Roach, their
Okay.
song what was their song big
Last
hit?
Resort.
Last
Last
Resort.
Resort was
Which is literally about killing yourself. And they made
Yeah.
it super upbeat. And I'm
but
like,
it was super
I'm
upbeat.
confused.
And I remember it's like, okay, so bass is that really long one with like less strings. Like that's how I learned what bass was.
None of that is a lie.
None of that is a lie. But this is 12-year-old me trying to figure out what I could
Bro, I can
do
imagine
to
a
make
12-year-old.
myself as cool as the older kid in the neighborhood that
Yeah.
everybody looked up to. So I learned how to play bass. That was when I started my journey into that. Started taking lessons.
Oh, so you took lessons. Okay.
Oh yeah, I started taking lessons. They didn't last, only like maybe a couple years until I got into high school, and then I started playing with other people at that point.
And it was like, fuck you, I don't need you anymore, that kind of thing.
not really that. It's just also my mom was a single mom raising 2 sons.
Shit's expensive.
Middle class, shit's expensive.
Bro, I get
So I
it.
started out playing bass and drums, and after a month, she's like, "You got to pick one," and I was like, "All right, bass." But yeah, so that was kind of the start. The band that really was kind of that aha moment for me was, when was I? It was probably like sophomore or junior year in high school.
Okay.
Kill Switch Engage.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir. You already know.
Alive and just breathing. Or just-
You
already
Alive
know.
and Just Breathing. Yes, and I backtracked to their previous album and got a hold of that. I was in that original Jesse era,
Oh, the OG Jesse
the
era.
OG
Yes,
Jesse
sir.
era,
Yeah.
and just fell in love with that album. Alive and Just Breathing was a definitive moment in my life that I will never forget.
Same as
It's
ours.
like,
It's
not
not,
so-
Not that record, but we all have those.
Yes.
Mine is like the poison bullet for my Valentine.
Yeah.
Shadows Are Security, As I Lay Dying.
Yeah.
You have defining albums or
And there's
defining.
been, like some of those albums, like As I Lay Dying,
And we'd love to hear yours, Jay, if you have
Shadows Are Security.
yeah,
is that what
Shadows
you're-
of Security, but for me, it was really Oceans Between Us when I really
Yes,
caught on
absolutely.
to
An
As I
ocean
Lay
between
Dying.
us. Yeah.
But Killswitch
You were
Engage,
late to the
Alive and
game.
Just
He
Breathing.
was late to the game, but that's okay. We'll take it.
I was
was.
late to the game with As I Lay Down,
was.
too.
Listen, you're older. Everybody's late to the game.
Hey, but I only have 6 months left of being in my 30s. So.
Enjoy it, bud.
I'm scared to death of 30. Anyways.
It's not bad. But Alive and Just Breathing, Killswitch Engage, Jesse Leach was a definitive moment for me in my just musical
Journey.
life in
Yep.
general. I keep hitting the microphone with the
It's all
glass
good.
when
We
set that
beat him
down.
up. It's all good.
Bourbon will get to you quick.
And then Howard joined the next album later for End of Heartache.
End of Heartache. Yeah, that was before. As
And
Daylight
holy
Eyes,
crap.
Yeah.
That was just like a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out that Howard was also a Columbus guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
Why
he
the
grew,
fuck didn't I know that?
really
You're not
he grew
the
up in
music
Hilltop.
encyclopedia, bro.
But like he split his time
Thank
between
you.
Hilltop and California, I believe. I
Still.
might be wrong about that, but still, he spends part of his
some
time.
reason I thought it was
like
San
he knows
Diego.
Columbus. And
Dude,
it's
the Ohio metal scene
holy
is
shit.
fucking nuts when you break it down.
When you break it down, like there's a lot of people who
There's a
have
breakdown.
contributed to the metal's just history.
Malls, Miss May I,
Right.
Black Veil Brides, Killswitch. Hey, the list goes on. and
Fucking
on.
wasn't the
Gates.
drummer for Nine
Fucking
Inch Nails from
Sourblood,
Columbus?
baby.
Yeah. But and Macho Man Randy Savage, not a musician, but still. Just like the vocals alone were.
Rise to the top, yeah.
But that kind of started my whole journey on like this can be heavy, it can be
Melodic.
catchy, it can be melodic.
But it can make you
Yep.
feel too.
You
It can make you
scream
fucking cry
and
and
you
make
can
you
sing.
scream. Yes.
Like Jesse's voice on that album.
So my music hot
Iconic.
take is I prefer Jesse over Howard, but
oh,
that's,
like don't,
that's a hot take.
I can as a Killswitch fan overall, I can separate those into two separate
It's like two
categories.
bands. Yeah.
Not really two bands, but two eras.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you had the Jesse era in the beginning to get it started. You had Howard, which was phenomenal and took them to heights that they probably couldn't have reached with, where they were at before.
Mm-hmm.
Just the charisma and the range and the just like
that he's got such an
something.
iconic voice.
The
dude.
soul. Yeah. Literally one of the most iconic voices in metal is Howard, right?
Yep, Howard.
He
Howard Jones, baby.
he left and then Jesse came back and it was like,
And then they
here
collabed.
we
Like
go.
on their first record with Jesse back, they're like, hey, Howard, come do this. Of course, Howard's got a side project now. I can't think of what the name of it is, but they
Oh,
released.
dude.
They're
Yeah.
fucking gnarly, dude.
Right?
So Howard's still making killer music, and he will play live shows with Killswitch and come out and do.
Isn't it called like
Light the Torch.
or something?
That's
Yeah.
I love
That's
Light the
it.
Torch.
Yep.
Yep.
And even Jesse had his side project back before he came back to Killswitch, Days of Grace,
Yep.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
Times of Grace.
Times
Times
of
of
Grace.
Grace.
That,
That's it.
Sorry.
that album was
Bad with
badass.
names.
Sometimes
We've
the bourbon
established
talks on this show, but
it's
that's
so
badass.
cool because so many
No,
of these guys
it was
have,
so good.
Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying has a side project where he actually plays guitar.
Yeah.
on it. Like,
Yeah,
it's just-
I've heard
they
that side
They
project.
just they have a couple videos out.
Yeah.
They got a couple.
What-
And they
it's
got a
called,
whole album that's actually
like Tim
very
can
good.
fucking shred, and I'm like, dude, Tim is so huge. I'm like, the guitar is afraid to mess up.
Right.
Like,
He's gonna snap
Yeah.
too quick.
I'm sure the name has something to do with fire, though, right?
It's
It
something.
is.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
You'll-
But go ahead.
you'll give-
It's
you-
metal as fuck.
It's metal as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killswitch was kind of my intro into that whole metalcore scene and just kind of seeing
too.
what the possibilities of
yeah.
heavy music could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Metallica. It can be anything you want. And then from there, I got into like System of a Down, As I Lay Dying, kind of a mix. I always liked a variety because I didn't start off my musical career necessarily as a metal musician. I started off as a bass player, and then I just kind of navigated genres until I found stuff that I liked in all of them. But as far as like my big influences go outside of just the musical influences, but there's a performative influence as well for me as far as bass players go, because bass players, let's face it, kind of underrepresented in
Yeah,
a
they
lot
are.
of metal music.
They are, unfortunately.
But I saw guys like Les Claypool, Victor Wooten, Flea, Geddy Lee from Rush.
Please say the Incubus bassist.
Yeah, Incubus for sure. All these bass players
What about
who
dude
weren't just
from,
phenomenal.
What about dude from 311? Was his
Oh
name
yeah,
Peanut?
sure.
Was that Peanut?
311 had
Peanut.
some good stuff out there. But the point being, like all these bass players who weren't just phenomenal musicians, but amazing performers. Like these guys put on a show. Like it's hard to top Flea
Yeah.
as far as like a performance goes. Like that dude puts himself through a car wreck every single show that he
Yeah.
plays. And it's amazing. It's enthralling. And it's like a bass player can do that. So as far as like the performance side of things, which I think is almost a different animal than if you're just like a recording artist and just trying to play the notes proficiently. Like that's one side of it, but the other side of the coin is performing it live, and like those guys were just as much of an influence on me as anybody else.
Which is
that I
why
heard.
hair metal was so fucking huge, is because it was about putting on a fucking show.
True, and the spandex probably had something to do with that too.
I would say.
That's the thing. I never got into hair metal.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I never
did.
did.
but
Jay-
not like
No.
Poison. I was more
Jay's
like,
nah.
I was more like Dawkins.
There was
and
a few-
Rat and more of the edgy.
I can respect like AC/DC.
They
In a
wrote
lot
good
of ways.
songs, dude. We've talked about it.
They wrote some
songs.
good songs, and it's nothing
They did.
against.
They weren't complex, but they were good fucking songs.
Here's the
No,
thing.
all right, here, all right, you just made a good point. And I was gonna say something earlier because we were also talking about Kurt Cobain.
He wrote good songs.
He
listen,
wrote good songs.
Yeah, I think that's really just all that it comes down to at the end of the day.
It does, dude.
Everybody has
Listen to John Brown
various
from Monuments.
different like talent levels. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
But I've seen some of just really extremely talented musicians that can just do things that I can't do,
But do they write good songs?
but don't really write.
To
good
me,
songs.
they do.
I always preferred Bon Scott's AC/DC to Brian Johnson, but
that's the thing
And
about
Tyler
Kurt
is so
Cobain.
big on
Was
hitting
Kurt
on this
Cobain really
point,
good? Like, no, not really.
He wrote good
wasn't.
fucking songs.
But he wrote songs that people liked and they
that
latched
was
onto.
that was the thing that I always my point I always made about Nirvana was they were so overrated. I'm like, how can you like? And this is no shade at anybody. It was like, how can you meat ride Kurt Cobain so bad when Jerry Cantrell exists?
Because
That was always my thing. Is like, have you heard this guy? Like,
Yeah.
that was always my thing. But Nirvana, I can dislike a band's music and still lay respect on what they did
oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
because
that's-
Nirvana.
So, and I think all of us kind of go through that. And like in my younger years, when I was in high school and just out of high school, if there was singing in it, like it was garbage, right? Because I just wanted it heavy. I
I've
wanted
been
it
there.
How dare you
fast.
sing?
I wanted
Bro, I
it
used to listen to
shreddy.
Cradle of Filth. I get
still
it.
know
Like,
people
Right.
like that though.
But
It always bothers me.
what, the heavy stuff?
No, it bothers me when people are, especially musicians.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Narrow-minded about
Yes.
music.
I prevail.
gatekeepers.
Oh yeah. So here's like there's a lot of bands
I
that
shouldn't
even
hate on them, but I did.
even bands that I even liked back in the day, but maybe I didn't appreciate as much as I should have back then. But all of it's because I was younger. I found what I loved, and that's all that mattered, right?
Yep.
When I was younger.
Yep.
It takes a while for you to accept that because
Yes.
you hang out with people and it's like, oh, well, I have like this group of friends and they love this, but they hate this. But
Yeah.
then my other group of friends are the opposite. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm into both, but like I feel like I have to choose, but I
Yep.
don't really want to choose because I like all
I
of
like
it.
them
Yep.
both.
And
Yep.
I'll tell you what, as if anybody's like dogging or trying to like belittle bands like Nirvana or any other, like even the hair metal bands like from the 80s, which are personally not bands that I would ever choose to listen to.
Sure.
Not because they were bad, but just because
Not your style.
it's not something, that has kind of grabbed me. But those bands, for whether you love them or hate them, knew how to write a catchy song
They
that
did,
people could
man.
sing along
They
to,
did.
and whatever. And writing something that is simple but catchy is just as hard as writing whatever the shreddiest
Yes.
lick and solo that you could write is.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
You just have to identify your target audience.
well, it's that, but more importantly, you just got to write what you enjoy
When
and
you're
not worry about everything else. Enjoy what you enjoy. Enjoy playing and writing what you enjoy. Like if you, like we play in Sourblood. We are a heavy band that has no clean vocals. And I love that music, that style of music so much. It has been such a shaping factor in my life. But I love the Beatles. I love Blink-182. I love George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic. I love all of these different things now because I've kind of been able to look back and see a broader view. And it's like, oh, we all just kind of like what we like and we write what's inside of us.
Yeah, man.
And if someone
There's
like
sounds in our head that we have to get out
Right,
on the
it's-
fretboard.
I mean, I
and
like-
for
yeah.
Nirvana, like that was that sound. For the Beatles, that was that sound. For Poison, that was that sound. And even if I might not be the biggest fan of a genre, like if you're making a living doing what you love to do,
More
and
successful than me.
right, right,
Yep.
more successful than me for sure.
Hey, a band that wrote songs that a lot of people liked. But you know, for me, it's just like, but I'm pretty sure you guys like him because I've listened to some episodes. Was your boys in Creed?
Oh,
you be careful. They just got back together too.
I was gonna say everybody but Scott Stapp, but
listen, no. When it was this or that, and it was Creed
or Breaking Benjamin.
I'm sitting there saying, how are we having this discussion?
I used to get down on some Breaking Benjamin.
He's like, how's
we
it
all
even an
picked
argument?
Breaking Benjamin though.
You did, but
we all picked Breaking Benjamin.
Breaking Benjamin.
Well, me and Tyler picked Chevelle.
Now,
but
I will say
Breaking
this one
Benjamin
caveat.
almost the
Breaking
same
Benjamin
level.
runs
How much of a
circles
banger?
around Chevelle.
How much of a
much
banger
of a
was "What If" by
they
Creed?
have so many-
Oh, dude, What If is incredible.
Yeah, What If was incredible.
Dude, Creed just announced they're getting back together and going on a tour. I'm like,
You're gonna go see that show.
suddenly I can't find a rhyme in all my reasons. I've lost.
Tyler, you had something you were about to say to Steve's point, and I believe we didn't do you enough justice to.
And
No,
you also
it's
cut
You're
good.
Jay
sweating
off.
over here.
Dude, it is
Because
hot.
we were talking about
It is
Nirvana.
hot. Yeah, well, he started talking shit about Creed. So
He got all red.
Listen,
and
I
shit.
will say this. I did at one time, way back in the day, I had one album, and there was like,
Human Clay.
I think there was like maybe 2 songs on it that I like listened to, like I listened to and liked, like to where I would listen to it on repeat. Can't remember what those are, but there was a couple. Was that the album that had? Wait, they might not even sing that song. See, I get some of those bands mixed up.
Well,
My Own Prison.
That in my own
Creed?
prison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
What
Creed.
album's that on?
My own prison.
My Own
Yeah.
Prison.
Yep.
So that was the album. There was like a song or 2 off of that album that I had.
that's a good choice.
or here's the thing: like some of these
Human Clay's
phenomenal musicians that we all love and admire and aspire to probably have some of those bands that we were like, really, that's one of your influences.
Yeah.
One of the bands we used to play with way back in the day, like all the time, it was a band out of Cincinnati called The Beneath. I don't know if any of you guys remember
I
them.
don't know that I have.
Definitely worth a Google if you're got some spare time. Phenomenal band, insane musicians. Like they were kind of along those protest the hero lines.
Okay.
That style, just phenomenal musicians. The melodies were there, the hooks were there. These dudes broke down and they fucking shredded, and like, yeah, their lead guitar player, one of their guitar players, was a young kid whose favorite band in the entire world was Creed. And then for the life of me at the time, I couldn't figure it out. It's like, are you serious? You play all these shreddy.
He was a Mark Tremonti fan, is what it was. wasn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's one of those things. Like, you never know who got influenced by what.
Bro, I
And,
love
like,
Creed. I love Creed, man. You like Three Doors Down? If you don't like,
Hell no.
see, what the fuck, man?
If it ain't metal, get the fuck out.
Hey,
Oh, dude, I got down with
but
some
that's what I'm
Three
talking
Doors
about.
Down.
I have a wide variety of music that I listen to.
You
Yeah.
just don't like dad rock.
It
like
wasn't dad
Godsmack?
rock back in the
You're
90s.
a fucking dad, Jay. Come on, man.
like
Have
some
some
You
dad
are like
rock.
legally obligated to listen to.
You like-
You're
No,
a math teacher.
I've seen Godsmack a few times in concert, but no, not really. I mean, there are no.
Oh, man.
That's fair. I
Shut
mean,
your goddamn mouth.
I
It-
saw.
it's-
Hey, listen, I saw
it's
them
all
in concert with the
subjective, man.
Deftones. It was a good show.
Oh,
You know, I mean, I've
that's
seen
another.
them.
That's
They
a band
put
that
on a
everybody
good
loves that
show.
I don't like.
I have
Deftones.
respect for them. I'm not
Love
trashing them.
Deftones.
Here's what I'll say.
Top
get into
3
it, bro.
influences.
Here's what I say about like Godsmack and like bands like that. I'm not trashing them.
Yeah.
I respect them.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of them live. They're very proficient. They put on a good show. They perform their songs well. Can't really say anything about it. It's just not a band that I'm gonna have like on the iPod, like I'm rolling around like
Yeah.
jamming some gospel. Like I'm.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
not a
I
band.
feel like
Just-
I feel like we're obligated. Tyler, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Side note: do you have one of the fossil iPods like Brad?
Oh yeah.
The bricks.
He said,
He
"Oh,
said,
dude."
yeah.
I do. Yeah. The classic, the iPod.
Do you have
so
a concealed
serious
carry
right now.
license for that?
160
Or?
gig. I got that.
Let's
But
go.
I have
Keep
another
that thing
one.
on me.
I keep that thing on me.
All right. Well, I
never
feel like
had
since
that.
we've talked about I don't want to keep you guys for too long, but I do want to. We've talked about a couple controversial bands, so I got to ask your opinion on Nickelback.
Creed is better than Nickelback.
Creed is so much better than Nickelback.
That's fair.
Thank you.
I would take Creed over Nickelback
Listen,
any day.
okay.
Listen, but I will say, if there's anybody out
I
there,
would take Creed over Puddle of Mud.
oh, that's
any
valid
day.
too.
Yep.
I would too.
Yeah.
I think Puddle of Mud was too inconsistent. They had a couple good ones.
They've
but
got
Creed just consistently put out songs. I'm like, man, I know every fucking word to this song.
Yeah. And
I think Creed's better than Stained.
No.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there.
Yeah, I'm
Sir.
disagreeing with
Sorry,
what
Have
I
you
heard.
heard Mud Shovel?
Bucket list. I
Yeah,
still,
I mean, Mud
I
Shovel's
still
great.
haven't seen Stain live.
I haven't
That's
either.
my bucket list.
None of us
I
have,
had
I don't
tickets.
believe.
I
hey,
love Aaron Lewis.
I
but
had tickets for Sonic Temple the year it was it was canceled because of
COVID year.
But it was them, Deftones, Tool. Like it was a pretty
Oh,
stacked.
shit.
I'm like, man, I finally get to see Stained.
Yeah, I prefer actually both Three Doors Down and Creed to Stained. Just because dude, that's what I grew up with, right? So like when we talk about influences, like my parents were not huge Stained fans, but they had every fucking Three Doors Down record and every Creed record.
So are you listening to shit like Matchbox 20? And
Yes,
stuff?
Oh, we love
absolutely, I am.
Matchbox.
I remember
love
so
Matchbox.
Absolutely, yes.
Love
dude.
Matchbox.
Fuel,
He's shaking his head
Fuel.
over there.
Dude,
Lifehouse.
Hey, I will.
Fuel.
Come
Lifehouse.
with me
Hey,
on a journey.
Will you listen to Filter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Okay,
talked
well,
about
listen.
them on the. Yeah.
I will
Dude,
say
they
this
just
about
played
Filter.
Sonic Temple a couple months ago.
I will say this about Filter. When we were talking about the Battle of the Bands and like when I was in high school and stuff, I did cover. Or were they? No, that's not Filter. That's
Okay.
not Filter. That's Finger 11. My bad.
Oh,
Finger
Finger
11.
11.
Paralyzer.
I covered.
You're a paralyzer, yeah.
Finger 11.
Yeah.
Bam, bam,
It was
bam,
actually
bam, bam,
Broken Words.
Dude, that song still comes on over the radio.
Yes.
They're gonna be getting royalties from that forever.
forever.
Yeah,
That
it's like,
pisses me off.
Dude,
back in the
Cross
day.
Same as Theory of a Dead Man.
I
Fuck
remember
you
Crossfade.
guys.
Crossfade. Didn't they have? They had one
Tap
song.
One
Didn't
record. They had one record that was fantastic, and that was it.
Yeah, that was really good.
3-piece.
Three piece.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Chevelle
been
a
a bunch of
three-piece?
bands.
Yeah, Chevelle's a 3-piece.
Chevelle had a little bit more staying power.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, they did.
But yeah, Three Doors Down, Goo Goo Dolls, The Wallflowers.
Oh,
Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah, man.
Oh, dude,
But like,
there's
bro, I was so hooked on like Lifehouse,
Counting
and
Crows.
Fuel, Counting Crows,
Yes.
the Black
Those-
Keys,
Jay's just
Black Keys.
disconnected
Ohio
from the
band,
conversation. He's
everybody.
like, nah.
I
Ohio
know.
band, yeah, Black
Counting
Keys.
Crows are bad as fuck, man.
Yeah, Counting
You guys
Counting
listen to the
Crows for
Spin
sure.
Doctors?
But
I never got into
I never
them.
got into Spin Doctors. But Black Keys, let's show some respect.
Oh, I love the Black Keys.
Ohio band.
Yes.
Yes.
So see, I would.
But the Black Keys is more of like a blues.
It
No,
is.
that's
It's
fine.
like, but it's still alternative. I still
Yeah.
put that in that alternative.
Well, the fact is, they're a band from Ohio that
Was
broke
huge.
through that ceiling and now
Yep.
get to just do
Yep.
whatever they want to do for the rest of their life.
Dude,
That's
Black Veil
awesome.
Brides is the same way. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like them, but they're from Cincinnati, and they're huge.
Yeah,
I mean, they sell out stadiums.
I think that a lot of people
He said no.
kind of
no.
don't realize the type of artistry that comes out of Ohio.
it's
And
monstrous.
there's so many like
There's
people.
nothing to do here.
Pick whatever industry you want.
We're
Yeah,
either
there's
farming
nothing
or
to
we're
do.
playing instruments. Okay, that's all we're doing.
Either instruments or we're getting creative somehow, and we're contributing to something because we want to get out of farming, right? But even if you don't, there's probably some world-class farmers that are right here in the state of Ohio.
Nope.
Respect. But yeah, like the Columbus scene, the Ohio music scene, the Ohio creative scene in general has contributed to so many fields. And I feel like it doesn't get talked about as much as it should be, because once you get out of Ohio, you kind of just want to just be glad you're out of Ohio. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in Black Veil Brides, and then the
Yeah.
from Ohio
now
part
they're in
kinda gets
LA.
left out.
It's like, yeah, they couldn't wait to get out of Ohio.
Well, I don't even say it's because you can't wait to get out of it. Just coming from someone who has been out of Ohio and spent a lot of a time out of Ohio. You grow up here. There's a lot that we take for granted that's amazing here
Yes.
when we're growing up here. But
Yep.
once you get a chance to get out of your hometown and experience something else, it very quickly becomes that's in front of you, right? And that's what it is.
So are you saying you missed Ohio when you were gone?
After a while, yeah, I did. I spent 4 years living in Europe while I was serving in the Army.
Thank
Well,
you for your
first
service.
off, I was gonna say thank you for your service.
My-
We got two
I won't-
vets on here now,
I won't
bro.
hold it against you, man.
Yeah, what were you?
Who y'all, Navy?
Navy.
Navy?
Where's the jokes? I'm waiting
Let's
on the
go.
gay jokes. I'm waiting on them. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So I want to close this out. We've had an incredible conversation with these guys, and definitely want to extend our invitation to have you guys come back on the show, because we said it before we started recording, like, when you start going, man, you can just go and go and go. Obviously, we have the Barnyard Bash coming up here in September,
September 30th.
September 30th. So that's going to be a huge show, and I definitely want to have you guys back on to recap that and continue these conversations that we've been having, because there's so much that we can cover. It's a lot, dude. It's so much fun.
Just most importantly, did you get the part where I said there's a lot of semen in one spot if you're in the Navy?
Hoo-yah, Navy.
I don't think I picked that part up, but thanks.
We
for
made sure to.
including that.
So I just wanted to retouch on that. The Navy has a lot of seamen.
Yes, there's
Proud
a
of
ton
all
of
of them.
semen.
They're our best swimmers.
You'd be surprised how many people can't swim in the Navy.
I would
honest.
be, and that's usually why there's only one that makes it. But
Fucking hell. He walked right into that motherfucker. Steve opened the door and Tyler strolled right through that bitch.
Come on in.
Jesus.
Yeah, but if it didn't pick up, I was also Army. Mad respect to my Navy brothers and sisters, as well as
Yes.
my Air Force and Marines brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
Coast Guard too. We'll throw you guys in there.
Yep.
But yeah, so I spent a lot of time in Europe, 4 years living in Italy, stationed over there with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, 1st Battalion. I was airborne infantry, and it was kind of it was a nice progression, because I joined after This Fire's Embrace had ended. So I got to see a lot of the country with This Fire's Embrace, knew I wanted to keep traveling. And then about a year and some change later, I joined the Army and got to see the world. So it was just kind of a nice progression.
That's awesome, man.
Came back to Columbus because I missed it. And then 2019, Justin asked if I could help him write and record.
And he roped you in just like he got Jay.
Got him. Just reeled me right in.
Pulled you right the fuck in. That's awesome. Well, again, I want to echo your sentiment of thank you to all of our servicemen and women out there that have served, are currently serving. If it wasn't for you guys and gals, we wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast right now. So we're eternally grateful for all of you. Thanks again, guys, for coming on. What an awesome discussion. I can't wait to have you back on and do it again and recap Barnyard, which I'm fucking juiced out of my mind for.
It's gonna be a
Barnyard's
fun
always
show.
a good time, man.
We got Convictions this year.
Convictions
Yeah,
is going to be
Convictions this
headlining.
year.
Which this will come out afterwards, but I'm just know, people, it was a great fucking show.
This won't come out after
Hopefully.
Barnyard, bro.
I could have sworn.
No,
we
dog,
had
this
said
is in August,
after.
my guy. No, this will come out in August.
This is coming out in August?
This will be in August, yep.
All right,
Are
cool.
you sure?
And then
Yes, I'm
in that case,
Oh,
come to the Barnyard Bash September 30th. We got a killer lineup.
Yep,
There's
Fake
going to be
County Fair.
food. It's $15 to get in. And then from there, if you want to pay $20, it's all you can drink for the rest of the day until the kegs run out.
That's not a challenge, by the way.
No.
Bullshit.
But if you want to take it as a challenge, come on down.
So this is like August then.
I
Yeah,
could
we-
have
yeah,
sworn
no,
you
no,
said
no,
in
no,
our
no,
messages.
No. These
was gonna be
two Nimrods
afterward.
have no clue about the release schedule. I handle all that.
So then at that
to be fair,
at that
the last
point-
few Barnyard Bashes have been in August.
They have.
They have.
This is the first
This
year it's gonna
September
be in
30th is
September.
the bash
Yeah.
this year.
Not on a Buckeye day.
No,
It is
no,
not.
no
it is
Buckeye
a bye
game.
week. Come out. You have no excuse. Ohio State's not playing. Come down to
This episode will
the
drop about
Fayette
August
County
30th.
Fairgrounds.
So
August
about a
30th.
month before Barnyard.
Okay, so then
There we
I
go,
can, then
perfect.
I'm able to say go to YouTube and check out our latest single,
Love it.
"Alone and Afraid," recorded with Jacob Mooney.
Juicy.
That
It's-
should have. Well, I mean,
Which-
yeah, that'll be out by
Yeah,
then.
it'll
so
be out by
yeah,
then, yep.
Guys, if
Promo
you're
it, bro. Yeah.
trying to figure out who to produce with, give Jacob a shot. Like,
100%.
Heard a
If-
lot about him.
dude is amazing.
Y'all's production sounds nuts on that new
Oh,
shit.
it's
So,
nuts. And he's the coolest guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
You're like,
why not work with a guy that
Right.
you get along with and is going to make your music sound incredible?
right. He's amazing. He works fast. His production is
He's
the
just a
highest
wizard,
of qualities.
man.
He's a wizard. He's a cool
what
hang.
Brandon said.
I love
we
that
laughed
dude
our
to
asses
death.
off.
Yo, dude. Yeah, if you go to record, just be prepared. His meaty cock is just flopping around.
No,
a lot of places. He'll get it, Jacob. You
Be
know what I mean.
prepared though to do some bench press and some pull ups.
Oh yeah,
Fine
which
with
I
me.
was.
Bring it on.
All right, so
There
We'll
you
go
go.
out and change. We'll exchange sets out in the garage.
Love it.
I
have to do
was
some more
very
pull-up
proud of my
competitions.
performance on the bench and pull-ups. So thank you very much.
Outstanding. He's going to put your ass to work. We love it. Well, again, big thanks to Jay and Steve from Sourblood for coming on and hanging with us for the last few hours. Can't wait to have these guys back on again. To recap, Barnyard, again, come out September 30th, Fayette County Fair, and enjoy the music that's going to be going on. Sourblood's for the kids.
Sourblood's for the kids.
So it is. I believe it is a family-friendly show.
It's all ages. Yes.
Yeah, it's an all-ages show. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just gonna say that it's in the rules that like we're not allowed to cuss on stage.
Yep.
So
Yep, it's an all-ages
it's
show.
even a step further than just like it's an all ages event.
Yeah,
It's like,
That's
well,
because
we're
the
not allowed
microphone
to have-
carries and there's houses nearby. We're right next to a
People
neighborhood.
complain
Yeah,
about
we're in
that.
town.
Yeah.
We're in the
We're in
city,
town.
guys. So it's
But yeah,
But come on out. We'll be there. Screaming Evidence will be playing. Sourblood will be playing. The Screaming Idiots show will be there representing. So come on out, see us, hang out.
it's an all-day thing, and we're all just hanging out with everybody all day.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. It's a very intimate feeling, and I.
It's
I
one of my
definitely
favorite
enjoy it.
times of the year every year, man.
So
Absolutely.
good. I'm
And
very
it'll
much
hopefully be a
looking
little
forward to
cooler this year. So being a little later.
Being in
so-
September,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
gonna
what we were
be-
kind of aiming for.
Yeah, it was hot last year.
It was definitely hot.
a little warm. So
It might
Again.
be borderline cold by then. You never know.
you never know around
Yeah,
here,
right.
man. So again, thanks to all of our listeners. As always, give us a follow on all of our social medias at TSIS Podcast, or just search the Screaming Idiots Show. We appreciate each and every one of you. We love each and every one of you. Thank you for listening and tuning in
Do
each
you
and
mind
every
if
week.
I plug my Instagram really quick?
No,
Go ahead.
plug whatever you want to plug, bro.
All right. So if you're looking for a cool photography page to follow, even if you're not into photography, but you like looking at cool images, swing by at Steve Malone Photo and give my stuff a look. And if you like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notification thing so you can get notified when I make new posts. And then, yeah, every little bit helps towards keeping me a full-time photographer
Hell
and
yeah,
creative
dude.
person. So
All about
Beautiful.
supporting small business around here. Jay, do you got any socials you want to plug real quick, or Sourblood stuff, or
No, not really. I
you
don't-
plug the new song on YouTube?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We got the song, the video. The song is available on all platforms. The video's on YouTube. When it comes to social media, I don't really do any sort of. I don't have a side business. Actually, my little side hustle is actually sports betting.
Fuck yeah.
So,
dude.
God,
which
Fandango.
actually, I won $175 since I've been here, which is nice.
Nice.
I wonder why you
Yeah,
said
but
baseball?
I can't really. Yeah, it's the only thing to
Baseball.
really bet
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, baseball.
You betting over and unders, or what are you betting on that?
So
I don't mean to get off on a tangent here as we're trying to close out, but I'm always curious because I do a little sports betting.
Sounds like a Navy drill, a little over and under.
Yeah. Actually, when it comes to baseball, I've
can tell
really
you all
been on they're called Nerfies
Nerfies.
or Yerfies. And what that is you're betting either no run in the first inning or yes run in the first inning. And
Okay.
it's real quick. You only care about the first 6 outs of the game, right? Then you know
Right.
whether you won or lost.
Yeah.
And I just find that interesting. It's exciting because you don't have to wait the entirety of the baseball game to like know your outcome.
Yep.
But it's just that's what I've been doing. But I've
Gotcha.
also done some strikeout props. I don't really I don't know. I don't like them as much.
Okay. Interesting.
But I really made most of my stuff in football and basketball. But I've made a decent amount.
Nice. I need to get better at it.
I'm not a gambler.
I'm up to 4 G's.
I don't win anything, so
proud of
I'm
you.
not trying to gamble.
I am not
I
that
just took
person.
advantage of all of the bonus bets you get when it first became
When it
legal
first
in
became
Ohio in
legal,
January.
yep.
And then I just signed up for all the different sports books. I used all those bonuses to like build a bankroll,
Mm-hmm.
and then I haven't spent that. Like, so it's just its own little.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
I'm not
making
taking
money, off
money out of my
somebody else's
paychecks
shit.
and stuff to like do it. Like it's just this own little thing that's slowly growing. That
Yeah.
On the next episode, Jay's crippling gambling addiction.
Oh, tune in next
Never
season.
happened, bro.
It's been 1
Never.
month and he's
Never
completely
happened.
homeless.
Nope. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that'll never happen.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I can't. Because I cannot stand to lose. The losing a bet or like
Said every
losing
gambler
money.
that failed.
No,
Congratulations.
it feels worse than how good it feels to win. So it's not.
Yeah, that's the point. It's losing.
No, but I don't wager. Like I
Losing
do not
sucks
wager.
worse than winning. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Which is why I would never make huge wagers where I would be in a point where
So
I
you
have
just
a
continue to
crippling-
fucking lose.
Poor Jay.
I have my system and it works. So
Man, you're making money, bro.
That's all I do.
I need to learn from you because I
That's all I do.
sucked at it for a while.
I've never bet or bought a lottery ticket one time in my entire life.
I like.
I also have
casinos,
tools.
bro.
I also have
I would
tools
get them
that
for
help
Christmas
me.
from like my grandma and aunts and uncles.
Get all the
'cause that was
best
like
lines from
the
the
default
sports books
stocking
and then
stuffer.
find the ones
$2
you're supposed to
gift.
take.
Like here's
Yes.
a lottery card. Scratch it off. See if you win something.
Bro, anytime I got to scratch off, I
hate
just scratched the
lottery, dude. I've
barcode
never
off
done
and
lottery.
scanned it. I
Don't
never
like
did
it.
the actual game. But anyways, once again, thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, we are the Screaming Idiots.
Woo!
Peace, love, dove.
Have a good night.
See y'all.